Welcome to the Hawks Nest live stream show, victory show, I should say. Let me get it right. Your Seattle Seahawks went into the New York. Came out with a very, very impressive win. Just got done hopping over there on the Bleacher Report. I will, actually, I think it's a good idea right now for you guys on this. Let me link this in. So if you're looking for some quick post-game reaction as far as just some summation of thoughts and where I was at with that, you can go over here to Bleacher Report, which I will pin here into the chat today. And you do have to download the app, but I will be doing post-game discussion over there throughout the course of the year and immediately after, again, of course, the year, but at least for the rest of this month in October. So do get that app over there. I'll also be on there at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time tomorrow morning. So we will be over there often in the future. It might be smart to download the app. You can definitely go check out that post-game discussion. It might be even just worth it, if not for my scintillating commentary, for you to check out how very bitter some of those Giants fans are coming out of this game. Your defense is elite. Don't start thinking about your defense elite. I didn't say elite. Don't start saying it. I didn't say it, though. I never said it was a great performance. They're not elite. Like, guys, what's going on, guys? What's going on, Giants fans? Are you hurting? Show me where the bad man touched you. Point on the doll to where the bad man touched you. But thank you to Bleacher Report for having me over there. We've got untold amount of items that we can potentially turn over here in this post-game discussion. We'll go for probably a couple quick hours here. But just a great game overall. Just a fun game. Frustrating game at times with some of those officiating in there. Frustrating to see for Jamal. God, your heart goes out to him with that. But a defensive performance, the likes of which we haven't seen here in quite a moon. It's been a good amount of time since we've had people come through and a defense come through and give that kind of total, complete performance. Stop the run, stop the pass, provide pressure, get turnovers. Hell, even score, even a pick six on top of it. But the floor will be yours tonight. Wherever you guys want to kind of take the discussion as far as this goes, we can talk over it and turn over it. I will be getting a post-game reaction video up probably around 5 or 6 this morning. So it's somewhere in there. When I get that done and wrapped up, I will get that presented out to you guys as well for the channel. So all that's in due. But we got a lot going on here this week. It's going to be action-packed. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock stream on Bleacher Report. We got the B&B show tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Back Wednesday, back Thursday. A lot going on and a lot of good stuff to talk about, which is the part which I really love. Snail, how you doing, man? It's good to see you, Alexander. What's up? What's up with Myers every other year is bad. I don't have an explanation for why it's the reality. You know, it's a little bit like gravity, though. I can't explain why it does what it does exactly. It just does it. And when it comes to Myers coming into this year, he had 8 years of inconsistency that was consistent. That's what he was. And you could narrow down the inconsistency. Good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. No, I think in his case it started out bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year. Anyway, we're on the year of the rat. We're on the year of a bad Myers year, unfortunately. I don't know if it's an astrological alignment. I don't know what it may be, but you know, he just has a struggle year every other year. And we're catching the odd one on this one. Joe Rats, go Hawks, Joe Rats. D-Zilla, Hawks is Monsoon Spoon. Ooh, I like that. Let's add it to the list. Told you guys we got Monsoon Spoon. I like that one. That's got a phonetic rhyme to it. So far we're at Spoonman, Big Spoon, Swiss Army Spoon, and Monsoon Spoon. Those are our nickname options as it currently stands. The Snail says, little drunk, ready to dunk on the Giants in Manning cast. Let's go. DJ Jimenez, Victory Monday. That's right, brother. That's right. In utero, what's up? Spoonman, come together with your friend. I can't do Cornell, man. He's too much. That voice too strong. Daniel W says, okay, but in all seriousness, Jamal on one side of this line. Daniel says, okay, but in all seriousness, Jamal on one side of the line of scrimmage, Witherspoon on the other side of the line of scrimmage is going to be a problem for running backs and quarterbacks. They both can blitz, stop the run. Well said, Daniel. Well said. And I think we got more of an encouraging sign to the direction of once Jamal comes back, will you be willing to blitz? Once Jamal comes back, will you be willing to dial up the pressures? And tonight they did. And I think it was part of a game plan in a way that just because Jamal went out didn't mean that they were going to throw the whole game plan out. They still stuck with it. And you're damn skippy on that one. That, with those two guys, you got plus blitzers. Jordan Brooks plus blitzer. Bobby Wagner plus blitzer. A big part of where this has come from my standpoint, Daniel, and why I've advocated so strongly for them to blitz more is that, yeah, the few times you've done it, even this year, you've had a lot of success with it. But also because it's the best way to utilize your talent and what they do well. Jordan Brooks doesn't do dropping into coverage well. He can cover up in man, but zone's not his best stuff. He's a little improved in it this year where he's been usually really bad. And he's been functional this year. But he's showing you that he's an able blitzer. He's getting it done when you send him in that way. Bobby, we know that about him. Spoon, Jamal, yes. Even Julian Love, I think, when you ask him to get down, if you eventually have him doing some slot stuff too, I think is more than capable of handling that type of stuff. But I think you're going to put those offenses in a pickle, Daniel, because you're right. They're going to want to, send that running back one side or the other and then feel like they're freed up to look through the rest of the field. Instead, they've got a really quick guy who's really fast off the line of scrimmage, as we saw with Witherspoon. He gets there so fast. Where you normally have maybe that extra half beat to throw that ball and punish the blitz, he's going to be right back there and on top of you before you even get that opportunity. He is the definition of cat quick. Dr. Powell, 1968, says, from Syracuse, Indiana. Go Seahawks. Hey, go Seahawks, Dr. Powell. It's good to see you in the chat, man. Hope you're having a great night out there in Syracuse. Spaces, how sweet was that? It was very sweet. We need the offense has got 5 offensive linemen down, struggling a little bit to find its footing. Waldron's kind of not in his mode. What do? Need the defense to carry the load today, boys. Put us on your back. For once, we're going to have to call upon you. And the defense said, okay, I got you. In Uteros, a zero anxiety game. For the most part, yeah. There wasn't a lot of heart attack nature to this Hawk game. Jeffrey O'Kelly, Legion of Boom 2.0, loading. Let's go. I love it. Legion of Spoon. 12th Man Nation 253 says, go Hawks. Witherspoon's a bad man. And them Giants fans, whew, mad, boy. You mad? I'm glad. You sad? Too bad. Yeah, I was over in the Bleacher Report, and I was just going to think it was going to be a bunch of my folks jumping in from the Hawks Nest, right? And like that they was just going to be a bunch of my people in there, and we're just going to be all like high-fiving, doing chest bumps, hip taps, right? We're going to do it all, popping the bubbly. All of a sudden, here comes all these Giants fans in the Bleacher Report. You're not elite. You being the Seahawks is like, Alabama beating incarnate word. I mean, we're not even a football team if you think. Boy, the excuses were rich and heavy and flowed at the ready. And it made me laugh. Feed me more Seahawks. I got to give props to Feed me more Seahawks. I got to give props to the doctors handling the Adams situation. He needed to be out of the game. Yes, that's a concussion. Those kind of situations happen like that. Keep the player out. And people can't get mad at Jamal in that moment for getting emotional. As I said, I mean, come on, with all this kid's got to play, with what he's had building up to this game, all of us would have been frustrated in that moment. And not to mention, when you get a concussion, one of the main things that you have happen to you is you become emotional. And the worse the concussion, the more emotional you're going to get. And it's just a symptom of the infliction. I don't know if you guys all remember, there's a Daryl Jackson story back in the day when he got just mollywopped. And he was back there trying to get into fights with people in the locker room because he was so disoriented. It's, Kuechly a couple years ago. Remember, he was bursting into tears, not because Kuechly's not a tough dude and that he can't handle a concussion. It was because it was the hit was making him. It just does that to you. Matt Alexander says, Jamal, it's not his fault, but it's sure odd how much he gets hurt. It's a bummer for him. It's a bummer. I think this one's explainable too, where he's trying to go in for the strike point, and he's not been out there tackling a lot. He's been practicing, but he's not been throwing his body in to make a tackle. And his strike point, I think, was probably a little bit off on that play. And that's going to come with time. That's going to come with more snaps and reps. Monkey D. Luffy's Legion of Spoon. Let's go. DJ says, Hawks Nest is the after party tonight. You know it, buddy. The drinks will be flowing. Flowing well. Garth says, remember how overwhelming the Giants fans were a few years back when they won at Lumen? That's right. You were in here, Garth, for that. That was pretty incredible. I think that was a place where we were at like 5,000 subs, something like that. And I swear to God, half of New York entered my GD chat that night. You guys go back to it. You can still find it as a post-game one. And it was like they were feeling themselves. Oh, we're a Super Bowl contender now. They came in to rub our face into that day. I was like, what is going on? What did I put in my title to make Giants fans come to a Hawk stream? Don't you guys have enough of your own? It's 13 million of you. I mean, if it's all ratioed out the same, shouldn't there be like 1,000 different YouTubers? But they came in all cocky. Now they're making a lot of excuses, Garth. Making a lot of excuses on my Bleacher Report. I'm looking at my Bleacher Report. You know what it's telling me? New York fans make a lot of excuses. That's what it's telling me. But I probably do too when we lose. I'm not good about giving credit out to the victors either. So I have a bit of a pot calling myself a kettle and being black all the way around. Space Spoonman. Spoonman's one of them, man. We're going to have to do a vote on this like Charbonnet. We might have a whole stream around getting the right nicknames on these guys. But right now we got Spoonman, Big Spoon, Swiss Army Spoon, Monsoon Spoon, Legion of Spoon. Might be good if we could find a different other one outside of Spoon in here. Camden McLaurin, thanks for always giving great content and for being a quality human being. Well, wow. That's kind of you to say, Camden. I certainly want to be more of that latter than anything else, but if I can deliver both, that is great. And my pleasure. I love doing those play-by-play streams. If I'm alone watching the refs, like treating us like Ving Rhames from Pulp Fiction after they've just brought out the GIMP, and I got to watch that alone. I'm glad I didn't have to watch that alone. I'm glad we all got to come in there like Bruce Willis with our samurai knives, swords. Set the record straight on that one. But my pleasure, Camden. My pleasure, man. I love what I do. I am very blessed to be able to do what I do. Monkey D. Luffy, Legion of Spoon. Legion of Spoon's getting some love. I'll write it down. I'll put it in. Legion of Spoon. Flag Sabbath. This win is going to have to fuel my day because Seattle Monday games mean I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep. Well, I hope this does at least make you feel I'm going to be in that same boat a bit. I go back on that Bleacher Report at 11, and I'm not going to be out tonight until about 5 or 6. So you could probably do the math on that one as well. I'm a sleepy little man. I'm going to be a sleepy man. I'm going to be a happy sleepy man. I'll have those bags under my eyes with glee and solidarity with you and pride. Our Hawks put a hell of an impressive win out there on that field today. Don't listen to what those bitter-ass New York fans got to say about it. Wilbert, salute Brandon, salute Hawk fans. Hey, salute to you, Wilbert. It's good to see you in the chat. Chicken God, when Myers limped that point after kick through the uprights, I knew it was going to be a long day for him. Yeah, I'm just anticipating this. I've made my peace with it. I know it sounds like, folks, I might be overstating this, but I swear hand of God on this. If you go look at this guy's stats and you just look at him on a yearly basis on when he makes kicks, when he doesn't, when he does, when he doesn't, when he doesn't. It's an 8-year career prior to this year, and it's first year bad, second year good, next year bad, next year good, next year bad, next year good, next year bad. He's clockwork with it. He is AM PM with it. And I don't know why. I have no explanation for it. I'd have about as much explanation for it as I would trying to explain magical transmutation, but it's the lay of the land this year. We're just going to have to hold on tight when he goes out there to kick. And hopefully Carroll goes with some more fourth down attempts this year in light of that. It was a 50-yarder to his credit. I mean, that's why you pay that man that money. Make the damn kick. Oh, King Tay, the defense was cooking tonight. They were cooking with gas. Propane, they had the charcoals on top of the gas. They were adding oxygen to further fan the flames. It was a beautiful thing to see. Beautiful thing to see. And Witherspoon, an absolute revelation. Garth Nice's Bleacher Report was good. I could only stick around for 10 minutes, but it was great. Oh, thank you, Garth. I'm trying to make sure I do those good. I'd love to do that into the future with them, man. They've been very kind with me on this in this respect. And I like it as a little bit of a change, too. We get to split the stream up a little bit, which I think kind of helps out. You know, like at that 9-hour stream, you can kind of get lost on what are they talking about, where. But I also like it. I think it's just going to be a great place to potentially continue to broadcast for the channel and try to blow up the channel on it with it. Ethan Tech Roll, Brandon, what do you think about Dirty Devin? Dirty Devin, ow. Dirty don't Devin, ow. Huh? I'll put it in there. I like it. Dirty Devin kind of is a little like connotation of he's you know, dirty though. Like dirty not in the good way, you know. Maybe we'd have to spell it with a U maybe. Like dirty. Maybe that would make it a little bit. But I like that as the right track. It's different than Spoon. I'll give you creative points at least. Everything's been Spoon so far. I feel like the one we're going to land on is going to be not necessarily Spoon related. Just because there's been so many guys who've been Spoon. DJ says Devin Witherfork. Spaces, our defense played their best game of the year. Oh, I think the defense played the best game of the year. I think the defense played the best game. This may be 4 years since we've had a defensive performance this good. I'm sure I'm missing out of a game where we probably got a shutout or something, but I just to win this well across the board. I mean, even when you got into a place where you have the lead through much of the second half, 11-point lead, to not then have that offense be able to then just eat up a bunch of stat Padford type yards, or Daniel Jones is dropping back and you're like, 11-point lead, let's just drop into our soft zone coverages and let him pick us apart. You know, and that's what a lot of Seahawks defenses in recent history with 11-point lead in the third quarter would have done. And it's why I'm going to give so much of the props and the flowers to this coaching staff in making this change. I've been asking for it and begging for it for the reason you all saw tonight. And they did it. And they turned away from their predilection. The predilection would have been those soft zone defenses. Keep the deep ball away. But no, they kept dialing up the blitz. Hell, they were dialing up blitzes even up into that last drive. Fantastic to see from this coaching staff. Absolutely fantastic. Spuds Mac says, are we now officially done with the Carter talk? I have to think, Spuds Mac, that it finally grows pretty quiet. I think that it's one that has been growing ever dimmer over the last few weeks. As Witherspoon shows you more and more of what he's able to do. This game, that's a pick six. That's a game-changing play. That changes the whole scope of that game right there, that play. There's more props to be given out in defense across the board, no doubt about that. But that moment, getting that play, doing that there, that's a fantastic play for that rook to make. And it's over the course of a game where he is impacting in other ways too. It isn't a splashy moment in an up and down day from a rookie. It's a splashing moment in a dominant day from a rookie cornerback. Not something you see too often in the NFL world. Dzilla Hawk says, can we also get Harpoon Spoon? I'll put it on there. Harpoon Spoon. I do like that one of the spoons. That one makes me laugh. Brian Chow says 12 sacks is such a great number though. Go Hawks. Hey, 11's nice. 12 would have been a little better. We almost got it a couple times. We could have had 15, 16 sacks in this. Cam Young just missed one. Jamal missed it on that first play he had. A couple. Draymond Jones had him in his hands at one point, I think. So beyond that, but 11's nice. You get 11 sacks in a game, you're probably going to win that game. You could probably put your money on that. Snail says Eli looked like he was going to cry. I bet. He's a giant through and through. And this is one of the things I told you guys coming into this game, and one of the things that I continue to say about this game is you had a feral, rabid animal trapped in a corner, and you had to take him by the hands. You had no broom, no trash can to go drive. You can slop him into the trash can and then throw the trash can outside. You had to grab this wild, ferocious critter just full of teeth and claws, pick him up, throw him out the window with your hands, and get it done without losing any fingers. And you did so tonight, which was great to see. Great to see. But by what I mean in that is you had a Giants team you guys saw. Chippy, edgy. They're going to expel whatever they've got. Any gun they got to fire, it's getting fired. No ammunition is going to be left. You saw, as I predicted in the pregame show, I said they're going to probably at some point even try a trick play here. You're going to get everything. You're going to get fourth down tries across the board. You're going to get trick plays. They are not going to leave anything out because this is their season riding in this game right now. Yeah, they're only 1-3, but if you go and you look at that Giants schedule and the forthcoming what's about to be due and coming down into the foreseeable future, it's getting dark, it's getting hard, and it doesn't look like you're going to go anywhere this year if you didn't get this win against this Hawk team. They needed this win. They wanted this win. They needed this win. They wanted this win. And you took it from them, and that meant you had to match their energy to get that done. You saw them chippy. You saw them playing a little bit over the line at times, right? Maybe trying to provoke the Hawks at times. And the Hawks answered the bell all the way through, which was very impressive. But I think you could see it in the emotionality on the sideline between Dable and Daniel Jones and some of the interactions as that game wore along. Daniel Jones has got, it's funny that I don't know what it is with Giants quarterbacks, but both him and Eli Manning have some of the most punchable faces on the football field. Eli Manning off the football field, not that punchable face. On the football field, on the field looks like a Muppet. And Daniel Jones looks like he's a Muppet too, but he's like the guy that's handling the Muppet on Daniel Jones is only controlling the eyes. That's what I feel like. And maybe that's why his brain's so turned off, is that his eyes are just so active and constantly. I don't know what that, if he just has no peripheral. And so, but holy crap, that guy. Even when he's talking to Dable's like, what are you doing? And Dan's like, Coach, what? What are you looking at, Daniel? Blitz is still in my eyes, Coach. So weird. So weird, the faces he makes. Jeffrey Kelly, just because we only have up 2 sacks, our O-line didn't look the best. Gino was pressured all night long. It's to be expected because we had 5 backup offensive linemen playing the whole second half. This is my feeling on it as well. It's easy explained to me, Jeffrey, on it. I think if you have, look at what happened with the Giants. Giants weren't down 5/5 of their offensive line. I think it was 3/5 if I'm not mistaken, maybe 4/5. And you look at them, non-functional. Not able to hold up in pass protection even for a fraction of a moment for Daniel Jones. And that's what it does tend to look like when you go that deep into backups across the board. You might have a backup that's strong here or a backup that's strong there, but not 5 deep. And so, yeah, I think you're right. Considering that that's what they were dealing with. Well done on their part with how that played out and considering how hard that is to kind of overcome that. And the quarterbacks did a good job within that as well. Didn't make any mistakes. Didn't throw any interceptable worthy balls across the board. Smart with their decision making. And that was good to see. Excuse me. Got a couple donations here. Let me catch on up on, sorry, a little bit behind on them, but I'm going to catch up real quick here. Thaddeus Sexton, thank you for the $5 donation. He says you think we'll do any small trades with Reed being hurt possibly. If you would, who's someone you would want? Yes, Thaddeus, I do indeed believe at this point that I think when you look at it, it would be smart for them to look to address the defensive line. We are going to get back Brian Monet for whatever that's worth on the defensive line as a bit of a stopgap there for Reed if he is hurt. If he's hurt, seriously, like, did he tear the groin tonight? Did it something else further? Was it just something different? It looked like he got his leg banged in a way that worrisome to me because I've seen those kind of leg bangs cause fractures. So I do think that the team looks to address the defensive line. I've more long suspected Thaddeus it's going to be a 3-4 end more than it would be a nose, but it could be either one. And I do also believe that the team can kind of pretty narrowly focus in the spectrum of what they're going to look for or the possible positions they would look to upgrade into the interior of that defensive line. And my reasoning being is you get your other offensive linemen back as you're due to, unless we're going to hear Damian Lewis is out for the year, and maybe that means left guard or as a position that you could go and attack and look to find and upgrade. But your receiver core is still looking okay. Eskridge is due back. Tariq Young's due back. Your running back room's 3 deep right now, and you've got Kenny McIntosh due to come back. Your cornerbacks are going to get Trey Brown back here eventually into the mix here again. Mike Jackson's still on the roster. Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen, Julian Love is a slot guy you can work in there. Hell, even Kobe Bryant. Feeling good there. Jamal Adams back in the mix now to add on to Julian Love. You're stacked up at safety. Jordan Brooks, Bobby Wagner seem to be doing just fine as your 2 starting inside middle linebackers, and you have Devin Bush behind them for some reinforcement. This, to me, narrows everything down into the interior of the defensive line when you look at it. Even your tight ends are still 3 deep, and everybody's still rolling pretty strongly overall. I think that the line becomes the place that you look to do. Who can you get? Who's available? That's the question at hand right now. And Thaddeus, I'm going to give you the guy that we played tonight that would stand out to me as the guy that would make a lot of sense. And considering now I don't expect the Giants to be getting any better anytime soon, that would be Leonard Williams. He is not on the most expensive contract as far as the base salary goes. The Seahawks could accommodate it. I think he gives them a solid another option in the rotational mix. He's not a game changer in there, but he's very solid and could give you a guy probably equivalent to at least what you're getting from Mario Edwards as another guy in the rotation, solidifying it, buttressing it up against the potential for injury. I love all of that as a possibility here, Thaddeus. So I think it's very, very possible of happening. I don't know if there's a lot of teams out there that are going to be moving, though. As I mentioned with the Giants, there's a guy right there that jumps out to me that certainly could be at the forefront of this, but you have the Bears looking like maybe they're going to be in sell mode. They don't have a whole hell of a lot to offer. Do the Panthers get into sell mode? Are they willing to move a Derek Brown? I would love to see them do it. I would jump all over Derek Brown with 2 feet, but I don't know if Carolina's going to do that from their intention, because as we know with these young defensive tackles, teams don't tend to let them go. They're going to hold on to them with a death grip, and they will pay them whatever they want. So I just think that maybe precludes that. If you look around the rest of the league a little bit, Thaddeus, it's tough because there's not really a lot of teams that you can see in clear, honest sell mode, and that the teams that are on the sell mode don't have a lot of real good, viable options that would appeal to the Seattle Seahawks when we do say, hey, it's through this little microscope of the lens of the team of what we're looking to address and improve. So those things are going to have to really align, but Williams would be the forefront of my mind as a real good, viable option. Not going to give you maybe the star power some might be wanting, but he'd be a solid body in the rotation in there, I think. Jeffrey Thistle, thank you for the $2 donation. And Thaddeus, again, thank you for that 5. Sorry, a little late in acknowledging on the donos. Sometimes I miss that when I get deep into the chat a bit here. Jeffrey, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, called it on Adams. First drive. Dude is snake bit. Well, I think that he definitely would probably be well served to go to New Orleans down there. I mean, he is from that area. We've got to ask ourselves an honest question with Jamal at this point. And I say this soberly. I say this clear-mindedly. When Jamal was at LSU, did he maybe hook up with one of those voodoo priestesses out there in the bayou? Come on, honest question. I'm being legit on this one. Maybe went back to school right after the trade the Hawks. And he's like, meets a girl and says, how you doing now, man? How you doing now, Jamal Adams, man? You be looking good to me. And he's like, and she vexed him, hypnotized. And then he got the hypnotized broke after the act. And then he's like, oh, I got to get out of here. And she's like, you leave me there, Jamal. I'll be hurting you bad. Just got to get back to Seattle. I see it like that in my mind at this point, Jeffrey. I don't know if it's the truth, but it feels like the truth. Because at this point, there seems some sort of supernatural, impactful thing coming in here on Jamal. Like you say, snake bit. Thank you, though, man, for that donation. Kai Levy with a $2 donation. He says, I like our new defense, the Legion of Spoon. And it's when it's just and their insignia is just the big wooden paddle spoon. For you Gen Xers, you would have known that as the spanking spoon. As many of us had that when we were in our younger days, go right across the back of the cheeks. That's what I see, though. I see a wooden spoon with Devin's face on it. Transparent background. Legion of Spoon it is, Kai. Legion of Spoon. It is tonight, that's for sure. It's his show here. Everybody did great on that defense tonight. There's a lot of people that deserve a lot of praise, but man, kid's fourth game to put that kind of performance out there on the national stage. Woo! Let's go. Janeth Kumar, thank you for the $5 donation. Says the Wide Away kit looked real clean and good. Don't you all think? Yeah. I think the uniforms look pretty spiffy and tight tonight. I don't mind the whites like that. I don't mind those pure, kind of more almost fully uniformly white. I like it. I do miss the Wolf Grays this year, Jonathan. This might not have been a bad Wolf Gray game, but Hawks were looking good. We got one of the best uniforms in the sport, in my opinion. Definitely a homer on this one. Definitely biased. I'll own that, but that's just my casual opinion with it. Can't wait for the throwbacks, though, Janet. Whoo! You guys wait till you see the throwbacks on the field. You're going to be just begging for it every single game. The throwbacks, I mean. Evan, thank you for the $5 donation, Evan. Hope you're having a good night out there, brother. And I appreciate that. He says, my vote is for Witherboom. Witherboom. Hell yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's a little more creativity on that one. We don't have to necessarily play on the spoon. It's a little bit of the playing on the spoon with the boom, the spoon boom, the spoon boom. How about spoon boom? I like it though, man. Witherboom is added to the mix. So just for the record here, folks, we've got first with Mr. Zach Charbonnet so far. And if you want to add to this, we will be running a poll to eventually decide on this. For Zach Charbonnet, we've got the Bouncer, Zach Diesel, Truck Charbonnet, the Cambodian Beef Stick, the Charbonnator, Charbazard, Bulldozer, Full Metal Zach, Neo Beast, Zach Hammer, Zactical Nuke. Those are the Devin Witherspoon. And so far, here's what we've got. Those are the Charbonnet. These are so far the options we have for Witherspoon for nicknames. We've got Spoonman, Big Spoon, Swiss Army Spoon, Monsoon Spoon, Legion of Spoon, Dirty Devon. I wanted a Michael Jackson song with that Dirty Devon. Dirty Diana. Dirty Devon. Dirty Devon, I should say. I think Devon. Harpoon Spoon. I like that one too. And Witherboom. Witherboom's pretty good. You ready? Hold on. Let me get your thing. I got you. Here you go. Glad you could finally show up. When are you going to help? When are you going to start celebrating this win with us, huh? When are you going to start celebrating this victory with us? It's Victory Monday, Pumpkin. No. It does not mean you get down from there. It just means you just celebrate with us. Witherboom's on the list, though. Witherboom is indeed on the list, and I like it. We're starting to assemble a pretty good list of names here. We'll get a poll going this Wednesday for both. Big Wave Dave, thank you for the $2 donation. It's a pretty good team for a rebuild. Yeah. Not too bad, Big Wave. As you mentioned, a great point on this, one that I don't reference often enough as I probably should. And giving the proper credit out on this team, Big Wave, is let's remember, let's all just take stock for a moment. As Big Wave says, this is a team in year 2 of the rebuild. Year 2. Yeah, we got playoff success last year. Yeah, we won more games than we lost last season. Yeah, we're off to a 3-1 start. But this is still a tremendously young team that they're accomplishing this with. And it's one to not only put in perspective about where this team is at, but where the team is going as it starts to gain more maturation and age and understanding its lay land, who it is and what it does well, and getting its identity as a team. But it is, I think I saw the 3rd youngest team in the entire NFL, I believe, Big Wave Dave. Year 2 of a rebuild. And looking pretty good. Appreciate you, Dave. Garth Knight coming hard with it. Garth with multiple donations in the first stream and another $10 drop right now. Garth, I hope you do know that I do appreciate that donation. And man, I hope you're feeling as good as I am tonight about this team. Garth says, Brando, what I'll never understand about New York football and basketball fans is they have no idea what a salary cap is and why the teams in their area that have a cap aren't the Yankees. Yeah, well said, Garth. Beautifully put on your part. And yeah, I'm going to be doing actually a Mariners video here shortly on the Crow's Nest side of this on my other channel over there. And it's going to be covering a little bit of this in baseball with that discrepancy between these teams that spend versus the teams that can't quite reach that high water mark of some of those other teams. And I maybe I'm wrong on this. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that'll argue against me on this, Garth, but I do come to those 90s Mariner teams. And, you know, especially after 95, you did take down the Yankees in 95. It felt like that was really an encouraging point then for the Yankees to really dial up the spending after that point. And it really did feel like you, as good a team as you had, with all of the multiple Hall of Famers on that roster, still wasn't good enough because of the complete nature of the roster that was put together. Especially by those Yankee teams, the amount of money that they spent in doing so. It wasn't that they were just, we're developing our farm system so well. Yeah, you had your Bernie Williams and your Derek Jeters, but then you had a lot of other guys you brought in to really, really take you over the top. And yeah, their other New York teams don't get to do that. Yeah, you got to fit within the cap, and it makes it harder. And you got to be right around your decision making. You don't just get to spend your way to a championship. Well said, Garth. It is a struggle for them. It is a struggle for them. And boy, were they salty in my Bleacher Report post-game stream. And it put a smile on my face. I was like, oh, okay. We must have hit them sharply tonight for them to be getting like this. Searching out Seahawks streams on Bleacher Report to try to grief me a little bit. It's like, and good luck doing that, by the way. You come if my team just beat your team by 21 points on the road in prime time. With the 3rd youngest roster in football, down 5/5 of my offensive line. You ain't going to tell me that I ain't going to call this a legit win? You ain't going to tell me that, you're playing a soft. Yeah, okay. What about where my team is? What about what we had to deal with it coming into this? Well, yeah. What about what, okay. Kick rocks, New York, on that one. I get it. I get it that you're hurting. But you're just lashing out. That's all. Your hurt is lashing out. Garth, thank you for that $10 donation, man, but beautifully put on your part as well. Tristan Levy, thank you for the $5 donation. I really, really thank you for that, man, and appreciate it. Guys, you are awesome on the donos as always. I definitely am trying to catch up, folks, on the chat. I want to give each one, though, its proper virtue and extol my thanks for you for doing it. But Tristan, thank you for the $5. He says, Spoon is better than Jalen Carter. The Carter dick riders seem quiet tonight. Also, best burger in Spokane. You mentioned it months ago, and I forgot to ask, but I'm from Spokane, and I need to know. Well, I've got you on the answer on that second part all day long. First off, yes. Look, the Carter dick riders, like you call them, I've got sympathy for these folks. Okay? I got sympathy. You're out there, and I know you're quiet tonight, and you're like, okay, Witherspoon got a game today. Whatever. Carter's going to be the most dominant interior force the NFL has seen for the next 10 years. I get that that's still going to be a place that you might be right on down the line with it. And I get there's a part where you still want it, but the Hawks did not whiff on this 5th pick And maybe he's not going to reach the place that you think Carter will reach, where you go, Carter's going to be Aaron Donald here in the future. Maybe he's not going to get to that spot of things. But doesn't mean that he can't still be highly impactful. And part of what I was trying to say a little bit, I think, on draft day with it. And, when it comes to it, Tristan, I'm biggest Carter alley that there is out there. You weren't going to find more of a guy that I think I did 5 mock drafts, and I think 3 of them had Jalen Carter as our pick. I wanted it so badly. But no denying Witherspoon's tape. No denying the amount of people that I've talked to that I trust, especially in corner play. And, I've got some guys I speak to that, have their stock and trade and understand that stuff really well. And, they love Devin. And I love Devin on the tape. And it can be one of those situations that comes down to where both teams are right on it. Both teams end up getting a tremendous player. That's the way that does typically tend to work when you're talking about picking in the top 10 of a first round. But Witherspoon is going to be more impactful than Carter over the course of this year if he continues to do what he's done throughout the first course of these 3 games that he's played. Because he's giving you, of course, almost 100% of the snaps out there as a cornerback on the field. He's playing 2 positions for you now between outside and slot, and then playing them both extremely well. Whereas with Carter, you are getting a guy that is in there mainly as a rotational guy. He's mainly in there as a pass rusher. He's basically taking on Javon Hargrave's role, who moved on to the Niners. But that also means he's not out there for all the rundowns. He's not out there anywhere near close to 100% of the snaps. And that's got to affect a little bit on how you view the Jalen Carter value of things. If you're only getting him for 30 or 35% of the snaps versus this other guy at 100% in the impact he's bringing on just about all those snaps he's out there, it is a difference. And it does have to increase, I think, in my opinion, the value to Spoon just a little bit more further on that. Not to take away, though, from Carter in the impressive start that he's had. And I do believe he's legit. There's a reason I called him a generational talent. I think he is those things, but both can be right, As for the best burger in Spokane, this is my humble opinion, and I'll be honest with you, Tristan. I ride out in the lowlands. I'm out here in the valley mainly, more often than not. There's probably something down in downtown, be it like Churchill's, that somebody would say would probably be better. And I haven't gotten down to Churchill's yet, which is eventually going to be a spot I go to. But for my money, if you're out in the valley and you're looking for by far the best burger out in the valley, and I think will be hard pressed to compete out there with downtown, it's going to be Mirabeau, the Max at Mirabeau restaurant. And it's the far edge of town. So, Tristan, you got to go deep, especially coming off the airport to get out there. But you get the artesian bun. You get the meat that's not been frozen. You go to all these restaurants now, and every burger's been frozen for freaking 3 weeks. I feel like they're chipping ice off of it before they finally put the patty on the grill. Not the case here, man. It's fresh. It tastes good. They've got those thin cut fries that are, for me, ideal, because so many of these places can't figure out how to do the fries right. Nice little seasoning to the topping on them. But I like how they do it. I probably eat there about 4 times a month. It's kind of my guilty pleasure to go to, but delicious. I even give the cats let me get a little burger on that one. Gotta let them enjoy that one a little bit when I get it too, man. But the Max at Mirabeau. Thank you though, man. 2 is for the $5 donation. Primo, what's up, Primo? It's good to see you in the house, brother. Thank you for super chatting the $5 donation. Says, this game reminded me of the Monday night Fail Mary game where we sacked Aaron Rodgers 8 times. Yeah, that's very true. And what's interesting about that, if I'm not mistaken with that, Primo, you're free to correct me in the chat. I'll definitely be catching up in the chat on this, but was it not also that we sacked him 8 times and a half? And because I was in the stadium on that one too, but I'm trying to remember, I might have had a few pops that night, you know what I mean? So the memory's not super clear, but I think we sacked him 8 times in the first half. And then the whole second half, the Packers just decided, okay, we're not going to let Rodgers throw at all. Or if he throws, it'll be just little dump offs. And we're just going to run the ball 24/7 and run max protect. And they didn't let us, have a chance to maybe go get the record on that night because of that. But the Giants kept, and by necessity, I guess, because you are down this game 3 touchdowns. So you need the extra pass catchers out there to go make plays in the secondary. But they weren't throwing a lot of extra protections for Jones in this. It was kind of like, make it work. Find the open read. But great reference, Primo. Yeah, I think that this does have a little bit of that same kind of energy of the Fail Mary game a little bit. where it's got everybody, I'm sure everybody's kind of buzzing off the back of this one coming out the end of this game. You know, people in the NFL are going to be buzzing about, well, the Giants suck. How good are the Hawks? How good is the Hawks? 11 sacks. 11 sacks. And this Witherspoon kid. I mean, what is that? What is this? It's going to be a nice next couple of weeks on the back of this win. Nice next couple of weeks to get kind of look at this team over and take an assessment and feeling real good about where you started the season to the steps you've taken in progression. It's been outstanding. Holy Hand Grenade, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, can we at least have Adams for those 4 games? We get nothing nice, Holy Hand Grenade. He'll be back, man. He'll be back. And I would be shocked if he doesn't get back in 2 weeks because he comes out in this game and he's, it's tough even for him. It wasn't like he's coming out there and he looks a step slow and he looks like a shell of himself. Comes out right out of the gate and he looks quick and he's on top of Daniel Jones in the blitz. Just Daniel Jones as he was throughout the night. Props to Daniel. Slippery at times in the grip of these Seahawks defenders. And then comes back and lays that hit. And he's feeling after that hit. He got his first kind of rack, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go." He's there to make a play with Daniel Jones, and just knee upside the head, brutal. But his story's not done yet. Holy Hand Grenade. I think it's not done yet with Daniel and or not Daniel, but Jamal Adams, and he's got a place on this team, especially if we're going to start blitzing more. He's got a keynote spot to this team. Concierge with Nolan, thank you for the $10 donation. That is very kind of you. It says, love your thoughts on our offense. Love your thoughts on our offense and defensive lines. How is the O-line playing so well with all the injuries? Was the D just on how bad the Giants are, or something different with the scheme? Some fantastic questions there, first and foremost, Nolan. Let's start with the offensive line. I think making too many assessments about the offensive line right now as a whole is tough to do, especially when it comes to the starters, because everything has been so, decimated, for lack of a better term. I think Stone Forsythe and Jay Curhan gave you far beyond in performance over these last 3 games than anything you could have asked for coming into this situation. Let's go on that first basis alone. Those 2 guys going out there and being functional for most of these games, yeah, they were provided a lot of help, but they're not going to go out there and give you 30 PFF grade, and there's going to be some bad moments, some avert your eyes moments. But overall, those guys held up and they were solid and did their job. Way beyond what you could ask for them on that. Evan Brown, I think, has been the best center for us going back to that one good year that Ethan Posick had that got him paid, that he never replicated after that point. He's playing at least as good as Ethan did in that one season, I think, right now. I've been pretty impressed by what Evan Brown's brought, and you saw some of the versatility tonight with him moving into left guard and Oluwatimi coming out there and what he brings on that, with that flexibility, because you were able to still kind of hold up. Oluwatimi's been there for set snaps and been okay. I haven't locked in on him, so I can't tell much with him. Bradford has been super impressive. If you watch Nolan, that video I did on him, I did the 60-second short too for the channel on some of the reps that he had with Derek Brown, and he was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic last week. And when you brought him out again in this game, really good. Really good once again. Including right when you wanted to run for a 3rd down, when you need the goal line run down near the touchdown, whose side did you go over? Right over the top of Anthony Bradford, because he's a Bear. When I make a reference to a Grizzly, he is a Grizzly. And you saw him take Leonard Williams in that hole, drive him out of that hole, and Leonard Williams was so pissed about it that he started slapping him in the face post-snap. And you're going to get Bradford getting a lot of defensive linemen acting that way, because he's big, he's mean, he don't care, and he's got the strength and power that's a problem. And there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it. It's fun to watch. This kid gets better. He's going to, I think, have a real bright future here on this line. As far as the defensive line goes, I don't know who was the better value signing right now as it stands. And both of the guys are being as impressive as you're going to find from a performance side of things on a defensive line throughout the league, absent your name being Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, or, one of those kind of top-end guys. And that's Mario Edwards Jr. and Jaron Reed. Those guys are getting it done in both aspects defensively and stopping the run and getting there with the pass. That Edwards Jr. sack today is a play that if you want to know what Mario Edwards Jr. is about, you want to know how this guy's wired, you want to know what you're going to see from him on tape, go back and watch that sack and how that sack came about. Because it's a play action wide zone. So it's faking a wide zone run to the left side of the offensive formation. And then Daniel Jones is coming back to the weak side of the offensive formation on play action out of it. And Edwards first gets upfield to take away what would be there as an outside zone run if the ball was handed off. Once he quickly assesses and determines that the running back doesn't have the ball, rounds the arc very quickly for a man his size, and then direct beeline gets to Daniel Jones. But then is he done there? Is it finished up there? No, because then he gets a strip sack on the back of it. Fumble caused on top of it. Game-changing play in that moment. I mean, that play and Devin Witherspoon's play from the defense really buoyed up the offense in a major, major fashion. So those two guys have been just absolutely tremendous. Remember last week with Mario Edwards, he had a career high in pressures. I don't know if he's going to be back in that mark this week, but he was good once again. And just mighty, mighty impressive. Draymond Jones flashed in the best ways that he has, both as a run defender and as a pass rusher in this game. You just got to see some of his moves. You got to see some of that nasty spin move that he can call upon. He just missed. He had the same thing that Jamal had happen to him where the Giants just greased up Daniel before the game and all their fingers just slipped through the Vaseline, I guess, because it was just like he had him dead to rights. Boye had kind of a moment like this too, where it's like you just running right at him and it's like, okay, take him down. Now he's right in front of you. And Daniel just, it's credit the kid's athletic. He's fast. He can move in space. But Draymond, best performance from him as a Seahawk here in these first few games. I think everything from the edge is great. Uchenna got his first couple of sacks of the year. Boye added his second sack of the year. Darrell Taylor's playing a small little role, but I think he's played pretty okay, good football for you in the little bit that he's out there. Derek Hall had a very key pressure on the Quandre Diggs interception where he's running a stunt inside, and he was right, just smacking Daniel Jones on that play, causing that overthrow to occur. He's looking good. So when it comes to the defensive line, I'm feeling overall good. This is a place I would like to see an addressing, Nolan, with them finding somebody in a trade deadline deal. Doesn't have to be some over-the-top deal where you're sacrificing tons of future space to make it happen now. It can be more of a middle-of-the-road kind of addition, but I think an additional body in there could be worthwhile. Cameron Young came along as well. He almost had his first sack in this game. I think he's still been showing out pretty good as a run defender. Haven't had a lot of tape on him to watch, but it's been pretty encouraging from what we've seen from him so far. And I kind of had the same with Miles Adams. Not a lot of snaps there, but got his first sack tonight. And he's been a pretty active defender for the Hawks. He had a couple of pressures last week against Andy Dalton. Maybe he's starting to come alive a little bit. So steps forward, I think there, Nolan. Steps forward. So when you come down to, is just how bad the Giants D is. This isn't a Seahawks team that's going to be capable week in and week out of stacking up 11 sacks a game. So a big part of that's going to be you going back and looking at the Giants defensive line and going, or offensive line and going, okay, you're down your star left tackle, you're down your second round pick, you're moving your left guard Shane Lemieux back into center to fill in for John Michael Schmitz. You're starting already a backup right guard in place of Glowinski. Everything's kind of in a moving state for them at that point, which was part of what made it so bad for them, because when you attack with blitzes, you're attacking pass protection schemes, but you're also attacking communication. A guy's got to call out the right protections. And if you have a single center down there, like let's say a Jason Kelsey type with the Eagles, the guy does it without thinking, right? He's been doing it for years. He knows every guy that's to his left, to his right, and everyone else on the line, they all are on the same page. He can make a call and everyone's on it. When you've got the rotating guy in center, and is it the quarterback making the line calls? Is it the new center? Is the new center as comfortable with it as the starting center goes? This is where you can challenge that a little bit. And I think they took advantage of that tonight a little bit, Nolan. But the performance was legitimate as well. It was legitimate as well. And it took the Hawks coaches being willing to dial up those blitzes to go out there and hunt and get the production you got. And that's a testament to them doing something purposeful at that point, not just kind of lucking into it or not just sort of stepping into these sacks by the Lions' inequities. But Nolan, thank you for that big $10 donation. I appreciate you. Definitely something different with this scheme, man. I think you pressured more tonight. I think you sent more blitzes tonight than you have all year long. This might, if we go over, without including 2020 where you went a little crazy with it, this is one of those more blitz-heavy games I think you've seen in the Coach Carroll era. If you remove out the 2020 year where you were sending Jamal like 24/7. But thank you, Nolan. Appreciate that donation so very much. Danny McCormick with a $2.79 dono as well. Thank you, Danny. Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals, you're in trouble. Spoon in the slot is lethal as F. Interesting to see how they choose to play him, Danny. And I think by that point, you're probably going to get Trey Brown back into the mix. And once that occurs, does that then kick Witherspoon inside with how lethal, as you say, he has been? I think it's an interesting decision for the Hawk coaches, a good problem to have. And as there's no doubt about it, as I've seen other people mention, I think that Spoon is definitely an improvement in the slot from what you've had there in Kobe Bryant. He's definitely way more comfy in that spot and that role on the football field. But yeah, the Bengals offense is going to be playing like they've been playing recently. And you're getting that version of the Bengals offense. If you're getting a 82% health Joe Burrow or an 85% health Joe Burrow, very well, I think I feel a lot better about our chances in that game at that point. I'm not quite ready yet to say it's a full-on dub, but you feel good. You feel good about your chances in this upcoming game. Roxanne, thank you for being a member of the Hawks Nest for 27 long months. That is a long time, Roxanne. You're logging it there. Almost, we're going to get you to 3 years here shortly as a member of the channel. On your way now, as they say. Thank you for that long time support. She says, the Devastator is making teams wither, and the mere thought of dealing with Witherspoon. He's going to definitely start to create that, Roxanne. He's going to have a lot of teams starting to pay more attention to him. It's going to be starting to be a lot less of let's target this kid. Let's go after the rook. Let's test him. Let's see what he's got. And more of, let's go somewhere else. Let's maybe not go down that alleyway. That alleyway is looking a little dark. I think I saw like a knife glint in the darkness down that alley. That's no good for us. Let's stay down Main Street. Let's stay where the lights are. Let's not trouble ourselves with that. And I think he's going to start to do that, Roxanne, especially with how he's played. And this is just him continuing to build on the performances that he's been building up to. Detroit, flea flicker, gives up the back shoulder, credited with another catch just inside of him, has a penalty that really wasn't his fault. Starts to improve, though, then the next week in Carolina, looking even better, right? Looking even more improved. And on it in coverage, tight in coverage. This week, looking just as tight in coverage. Everybody's good at tackler, laying the hits, getting back there and with his pressure. I mean, he was coming off that edge as a blitzer with the full intention of, I'm going to get the sack here. I'm not just coming off here to get in the quarterback's face and stick my hands up. I'm going to go make that play. He will go make the play. You know? Lethal is the right word to put, Danny. And the Devastator is also right. I'll put it on, Roxanne. We'll put it on the board. Devastator. It's a mouthful. Thank you guys, though, for all of your donations and support on the channel. I really do appreciate it so very much. You guys are very kind. Johnny Utah, if they were going to blitz Spoon 5-6 times, Jamal will do that at least. Amen, Johnny. And as evidence, they did it with him on the very first snap of the game. They're going to send Jamal. I've had a long inclination to believe that that's what they're choosing and deciding they're going to go do. And it was even more kind of confirmed for tonight. It makes so much sense from how to best use Jamal, how to best use maybe the total personnel of what you're bringing on the defensive secondary into place, into bear, and also to find a road for improvement with this defense recently, especially with how they give up yards in the air. It all kind of comes together as a smart reason to go in that direction. Chicken God, top billing, treated Seahawks fans like they were a joke when they were saying Spoon should start in the slot. I wonder if he has changed his mind. There's definitely a lot of bristling to the slot stuff, Chicken God, back from the Hawks fans contingent. And I think you saw tonight why I've tried to long say that him going into the slot is not a horrible thing or some downgrade for him in his usage versus playing on the outside. He can have effect on the outside and he can be helpful from the inside, but he can also find a lot of effect and impact in the inside too. And he showed that today. So it's one that, I hope not only with Top Bill, but many others that might have a little bit of, wonder like, well, if you take him to a slot's not really a starter. A slot really doesn't have impact on the game like an outside corner. We're in a new age. We're in a new age with these slots. We're in a new age in what they're tasked and asked to do. It's not the olden days in that respect of things. And we got to kind of adjust that, I think, just a little bit with that, right? But I would imagine probably a little bit of adjustment there, Chicken God. King Tay, week 1 with JSN, 5 receptions, 34 yards. Week 2, 1 reception, 10 yards. Tonight, 3 receptions, 5 yards. Hopefully see JSN breakout game sooner or later. I think it's coming, King. I think it's coming. He's going to continue in this game to be impacted by the fact that you have the 2 tight ends, 3 tight end sets that you're going to want to lean into for pass protection purposes. And that's going to remove some snaps for him off the football field. Now, is he doing a lot else outside of that? Not necessarily. I mean, I'm going to want to go back and check out one play in particular where he's right there on the sideline and Drew Lock threw him a ball. I don't know if it was catchable or not, but it could have been maybe a drop in there by the looks potentially of things. I'll have to look at it a little bit closer, but I think it's coming, King. I think it is going to be just a matter of time. And I think one of the main recipients and beneficiaries from getting back, at the very least, your 2 starting tackles will be JSN. Fraudly, Rust Cans. The Spoon is such a bust. We should have drafted Carter. He played awful today. Snail Jamal was balling until Daniel Jones turned into Mac Jones and went full villain. Dirty hit. Daniel was running for his life. Daniel was like, dear God. Jeff Bays says, how about B-Rad Ford? He was a beast. Oh, Bradford. Yeah. You're taking Leonard Williams, who's a kind of tweener, 1-tech, 3-tech type, right in between, but a big, strong man. And like we saw him do with Derek Brown last week, Jeff, he took that man and moved him out of the hole. And Bradford is absolutely got almost close to special-like power from the guard position. It's mightily close. He needs to clean up technique. He's still got a ways to go to get to where his final state will be, but he's got some raw goods to work with that are tremendous and have already shown out here early on. Legion of Spoon says, honestly, don't sleep on Eskridge. I won't sleep on him. Not at all. And you are looking at with this, maybe with some of this fly sweep game and JSN, that maybe some of those, or not fly sweep, but the bubble screens, the tunnel screens, maybe some of those go now to Eskridge instead of JSN, who's a little bit more built to run those kind of plays than JSN is. JSN's not really, he can do some yak stuff, but he's not really a yak guy in how he's kind of built. Swedish Shinobi says Cambodian beef stick sounds like a pro wrestler, and I love it. I know that's my vote for Zach Charbonnet nickname. That one's just to me too good. That's my preference as well. Holy Hand Grenade, the Orange Cat's blessed us with her presence. Indeed she has. She's finally decided to get up from her nap. She was exhausted after that game. She was physically and spiritually exhausted. SL Hazard, I want JSN to pop off after the bye week, second half of the season. Fingers crossed. Mine too, SL. And I think it's coming, man. I think it's coming. Motive, I just want to see her pounce Brandon just once. She wants you right now to hold her like a baby. That's what she's trying to do. That's her new thing here. It's winter. It starts getting cold. She's like, okay, let's cuddle up and I'll just sit her and hold her like a little baby for you guys. She gets heavy. Does Pumpkin get catnip? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got to order the strong stuff with her. The weak stuff, she just kind of, I got to get that stuff from Amazon. I got to get that Meowana, I think is what they call it. Meowana. Bad Spoon Rising. I like that, Johnny. Bad Spoon Rising. Spuds Mac, yeah, and Daboll was the coach of the year last year. Pete should have gotten it. Now this year they'll say, oh, well, they were good last year. Yeah, Pete can't get a lot of love on the coaching side of it as far as that coaching award goes. And yeah, I agree. I thought as well as he should have got it last year. Rebuild year. You move on from 2 Hall of Famers, $57 million of dead money, super young team, and you take them into the playoffs. What they did with Geno, I'm with you on that. SL says this team is becoming something awesome. When everything clicks, we're going to be a problem. Indeed. I love it, man. Well said. I have nothing further to add. Just well said. Trills says, I'm all right with JSN still right now. Still young. I'll keep believing. Me too, Trills. I don't think the hype out of camp was misaligned. I think there's only so many balls to go around, and there's factors at play that go against him just merely going out there and beating the cornerback opposite him, namely, snap counts and all of that stuff. But he's going to find his place on this team. He's going to have a mark here that he's going to leave in this season at some point. I trust in JSN's talent. I trust he's going to fit and find that role. And it's just going to take time. Like you say, Trills, he is just young. Moda says JSN also needs to be schemed into better routes, not the at the line of scrimmage routes they had him running most of the evening. 100% with you. Just what I was talking about above, where he's not really a bubble screen guy. And you agree the same way, Motive. Just that's not really how Ohio State looked to use him. There was some of that in there, but it's more of him getting up the field, running rounds. Legion of Spoon, who was Jamal Adams mad at? He's mad at the doctors for not letting him back on the field. But it's understandable why they didn't, of course. Ununderstandable why he was mad. I get it. Passionate man. Silver Shrew, New York fans have it tough with how both their baseball and football teams are performing. Yeah, and they're not tending to be the most patient of fan bases when things aren't going good with especially with both of them at the same time. But yeah, it's been a little bit tough. You got the Giants not good, the Jets not good, the Mets not good, and even the Yankees, I think, had like a run of winning seasons cut off this year. Trills, did Jamal Adams get injured? He had a concussion in this game. Megan in the house. What's up, Megan? Good to see you. Brody, does Adams come back for the Bengals game? I would think so. Yeah. I would think so. Garth Knight, thank you for the $5 donation. I do appreciate you for that, Garth. He says, Brando, in what way would Kyle Shanahan use Jackson Smith and Jigba? I don't really care. I just want to rile up the FFL crowd. I think he would still use him in the slot. I don't know if he's exactly the slot type, though, that Shanahan's looking for, because Shanahan's going to hold at the forefront of, I think, some of these guys, especially be it a, slot guy, or if you're going to get these short routes off, he's trying to get to guys who can yak it up in space. I'll throw him a 3-yard route. I think JSN's more about getting a route run and getting open off the route running, and that's how he gets open. So I don't know with that. I think that it would be probably short run routes and stuff. I know you ask in jest there, Garth, but I don't know if he'd be just necessarily super more productive in Shanahan's scheme. Because Shanahan looks for a certain kind of receiver and his requirement of things too. But he'll get there. Garth always prodding there. Thank you, Garth, for that dono. All your donations, brother. SL Hazard says JSN having his breakout game in the throwback unis. Chef's kiss. Let's go, man. I hope so. Val Ramos, did Spoon get drafted or come off of a trade? Spoon got drafted, Val, but that's the Denver Broncos Russell Wilson pick that we got from them. Back Speaker says, how about we call him the Hitman for how hard he hits? I'll put it on the list, man. We're going to do a Wednesday stream, and we're going to try to get the Hitman. Got it. We're going to try to get a nickname determined for both Witherspoon and Zach Charbonnet. So for Witherspoon right now, Spoonman, Big Spoon, Swiss Army Spoon, Monsoon Spoon, Legion of Spoon, Dirty Devin, Harpoon Spoon, Wither Boom, Devastator, and the Hitman. All solid additions. Chicken God says, what's the over-under on Jalen Carter going up to training camp next year at 350? I'll take the slide under on that. Jeff Page says, Spoon Nami and Smash Zach. I'll add it on. I like that, Spoon Nami. It's a good addition. And what we got the other one, Smash Zach? I'll throw it on there. Do it. And Utero says there's a Dick's Drive-In in Spokane. Yes. It is in the dodgiest part of town that you want to go to, though. If you can step over the syringes and passed out fentanyl folks, then yeah, you can get to the Dick's Burger here. But it's not a particularly good burger. Deadly says, why does it have to be one or the other? Both Carter and Spoon are dominant this season. I don't think, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I think both will be really good, Deadly. Motor says, Dick's, where the poor man hang out, the swaths like to play, and the rich flaunt clout. Garth, Brando would have sold his kidney in a bathtub for the Hawks to draft Carter. I might have legitimately. I've been like, well, you're going to put me under at least, right? Okay. And we do get him, right? He'll be good? Okay. Chicken God says Witherspoon and Adams on opposite ends of the line of scrimmage is going to terrify opponents. Love it. Go. Legion of Spoon and Adams. Who are you going to blitz? Which one? Maybe both. Oh, you only got one mere little running back in there to help you? So you're going to have a free rusher who you want to let run free at you? Do you want to let Spoon run free at you in the way he hits? You want to Adams run free at you the way he hits? Is that what they call a predicament? SL Hazard, Spoon is way more impressive than we give him. If you look back at what scouts were saying about Spoon, one guy described him verbatim. This M and mother effer plays like he hates the quarterback and the wide receiver. He does. He is the definition of a player that plays with a chip on his shoulder and plays with an attitude out there, and a good kind of attitude that you want. That's sometimes hard to prod from players. And he's got it. And that's an ample description, man. And he has been absolutely outstandingly impressive. And I'm trying to get his props throughout this. But I think this is going to make it now to a point where SL, I think he's going to bring pretty much everybody over on the fan base with a performance like this. Where it's like, okay, I see it. Yeah. Even those that begrudgingly come along on it. A1 Matrix, we have to keep Spoon and Nickel, though. Already showed enough to stay there. I'm okay with it. I'm an either-or guy when it comes to this. Use them on the outside, use them on the inside, move them around a little bit maybe, like a weapon. But I think he's going to be comfortable either way. Trail says, can't wait to see Witherspoon versus Jamar Chase or top one receivers. It's going to be a good fight. And you're not going to just be able to run Jamar because, Seahawks corners don't travel. You're not just going to be able to run Jamar off Tariq Woolen, off to some other Mike Jackson side over here. They're probably going to have you pretty aligned right with it, so... Arturo says, I haven't been to Dick's. I've been to Ivers. Great fish tacos. I have heard Ivers has got some good fish tacos. I've heard that. In utero, I have a doctor's appointment coming up in Spokane. What restaurant were you talking about, Brandon? This is going to be the Max in Marabou. It's actually a hotel restaurant, but it's a nice hotel at the edge of town in the valley. The Max at Marabou. Tell him Brandon sent you. Trails are always like really slacky and disappointed, but they did enough, and I accept the win. Poor Gino getting smashed. Gino got smashed a couple times. Down on 5 offensive linemen, Trails. It's going to be hard to get things done when that's the case. Legion Spoon says, does Diggs have the best celebration? He might. Good to see him get a pick. Damn rough on those players, but we play really well out there. And indeed, this was a little bit reminiscent of that game. He had a lot of interceptions in that one. But defense carried the day. Offense did just enough, I think, back in that day. I think, Marshawn really needed to run well for us because there wasn't a lot to be found as far as air yardage goes. Yeah, that's a great comp, Deadly. Very similar games. Seahawks Gaming says we don't talk about Michael Dixon enough. Laughing out loud. Oh, Dixon's been one of the best punters in the National Football League for us, if not the best. I think you can make a solid argument for it. And he showed you tonight why, because he is the kicker that gives you distance, air hang time. Great in his directional punting. Great in his inside the 20 punting. Got it down at the 2-yard line today. Another one inside the 20. Did a great job today too, Seahawks Gaming, of finding a way of reading where the punt returner's setting up too deep and then putting it in front of the punt returner. We've seen teams do this to DJ Dallas sometimes. We did it to their returners today where he hits that low and then it just starts getting that roll. And he ended up getting a couple of punts with an extra 15, 20 yards of roll. But yeah, 54 yards, I think, on average today. 65-yarder is a long. He flipped field positions all over the place. And he has been absolutely fantastic. If we could kind of say Michael Dixon was on, if punters went to the Hall of Fame, he'd be heading on to a Hall of Fame-like trajectory. Of course, they don't really put him in. So, yeah, it's going to be hard for him to get in. But I think that is indeed the case. Jiggy God, in the past, Pete has been very liberal with the team about time off during the bye week, and they have come out very flat almost every time. I hope he has learned from this and keeps them reined in. Me as well on that. Me as well. It's an early season. You're just kind of finding some footing. Let's keep it locked in. You got to give them a little bit of time off with so many injuries for sure, but yeah, I would hope that they would learn a little bit from recent past history on that. Don't let it fully loosened. Addison says, hey, Brandon, great game, but I'm not sure if this was us proving how good we are so much as it was New York proving how bad they are. Not taking anything away from how we played, this was an amazing game. I think that the truth probably finds itself somewhere in the middle here, Addison. The thing that you got to go to a little bit with this is Giants last year were a playoff team. Did they play over their skis a little bit? Were they, overachievers? Maybe, but they were a playoff team and they won that playoff game that they played before they lost. And so it's not a team that's bereft of any talent or ability. And they were returning in very many ways coming into this game. They're returning a lot of the same talent that they had last year that saw them find that success. Now, was 3/5 of their offensive line out, or 4/5 or whatever you want to call it? Yeah. But then, Addison, we had to deal with that to me on the other side of it too, right? So there's a bit of an equivalency thing there going on, and yet we persevered through that. And it didn't seem to mean automatically for the Giants defense that 5/5 of our offensive line backups being in the game didn't mean that we just had sack after sack after sack occurring like it was happening on the other side of it. And this is where we come to me, in my mind, of giving more credit on this one. Any given Sunday, any NFL team can go out there and beat any other NFL team. The sport is as filled with parity as any other sport. And in that, I think that means that the ground is always a little bit more leveled than you're getting other places. Even when you get this particular game where the Giants are scuttling and injured in certain parts and Jones is not playing anywhere where they thought he'd be playing. But I think we've got to take some, actual, enjoyment from this win, and that we also say, no, it's a legit win. You put a legit win out there. You went on the road. You were down too. You were fighting up against it as well. And, you found a way to overcome. That's what good teams do. Bad teams fall apart when that kind of stuff happens, and that's why Giants will probably end up being a bad team. But that doesn't mean that we are maybe on the road ourselves to being a good team. It shouldn't be taken, I think, if I say Addison, it shouldn't be taken as that this should be some statement game that this now everybody's on notice because of this, but it's a big, huge step forward as we're starting to take these last few weeks steps forward, getting this defense right, getting a little bit better, starting to see the plan coming together with more of the blitzes and more of the pressure-based stuff. That's a lot of the part of the enjoyment we should have from this, Addison, is Giants are too bad, but it was also the coaching staff willing to engage the mechanism, willing to blitz when that's been something that they have run away from like a vampire runs away from a cross. And so that's where the encouragement comes from, because if they're willing to do it this much now, here and now, as they get more of these guys back to accommodate that kind of pressure and that aggressiveness, why not continue it in the future, especially when you had so much success with it last night, tying a Seattle Seahawks record with 11 sacks in one game. Rondala says, my name's Ivar. I'm an engine driver. Nice, Ivor. I'll try to remember that. I'll probably still call you Rondaz, but Ivor, I'll try to work in there if I can. Holy Hand Grenade, Drew Lock did do a good job backing up. I was very encouraged by what I saw from Mr. Lock. It was good. The Real Cheese. Thank you for the $5 donation, Real Cheese. I do appreciate that. He says, I don't know if it's been said, but Spoon's got more sacks than Carter. If it has been said, it needs to be repeated. Indeed. I said at the moment that I saw that he got that credit for that second sack, and I went, oh, look who's got more sacks than Mr. Monster Pass Rusher. And indeed he does, and he's got a pick six, and he's got more tackles than Jalen Carter, and I probably got more tackles for loss even. Jalen Carter's been really good, and as somebody else said in the chat here in Real Cheese, both can be good. Both can be great. But really, I think more of what's at the head of this beyond where Carter is and who he is that the acknowledgement should come now from those folks here, from those determined Carterites, that Spoon now you can recognize his step for step with this guy. He's right there as that impactful guy. He's just at a different position doing it in a different manner. But at the same point in time, is he probably going to be able to help you win games in the same manner, or at least at almost the same kind of manner that a Jalen Carter will? Yeah, maybe even more so. We'll see how it goes. But, 2 sacks for Spoon. Almost had another one in this game. Close to. And he seems to be a very, very good blitzer. Comes to him very naturally, Real Cheese. Well said, though, man. And I love that stat. It's perfect. It's just perfect. Garth Knight, thank you for the $10 donation. Man, Garth, you are awesome, brother. I appreciate all of that support, man. So very much. Says, what the Orange Cat has done for the Seahawks drafts over the last 2 years, along with the health blessings for this team's running backs, is incredible. Is there a fan who can paint a portrait in her honor? We might have to do it here pretty soon. It's that or a statue, Garth. We might need to do the bronze statue with her too as well. We'll catch her like mid-roar, But Kat's looking good on her predictions. She had the Hawks. I set up those salmon treats across right down the hall. We did the psychic test on my cat here prior to the season. Could she predict the Seahawks schedule? And indeed, so far, her 12-5 prediction is looking pretty close to accurately where this is trending to. So good on her. She's a smart one, Garth. And she's definitely getting some salmon treats tonight for that psychic spirit energy that she's bringing to the table. She's getting an extra couple salmon treats tonight, frankly. She brought it in a big way tonight. She knows I appreciate that. You're a good girl. Yeah. Very good girl. Thank you for helping us win. Everyone's thanking you. That's all. That's all that is. But Garth, thank you for that $10 donation, brother. She's working her magic, man. She's a magical cat. Look at that sweet face. Doesn't get more magical than this little furry orange beast. But thank you, man. Appreciate that donation. Spectre 7 has been a member of the Hawks Nest for 23 months, almost 2 years. As a Hawks Nest member and supporting for that long, thank you for that, Spectre 7. He says, keep it rolling, 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 come on. Rolling, 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 come on. Rolling, 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 come on. I love it, man. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the good times going. Let's keep this win streak motoring 3 in a row. Can we make it 4? Ivar says, I have faith in horse cock lock. I do too as well. Hunter Biden's crack pipe says, will Spoon become a superstar in your opinion? Also, bros, my dog got into my edible stash and ate 5 of those things and he's blazed. His name is Darth Vader. Oh, poor guy. It can happen sometimes. Dogs are kind of funny too when they get stung. They'll start getting even the smiles on the lip. And they can't open their eyes, and they're just like, what did you do? Hope your puppy's okay. Hope Darth's okay. Fei Wu says, we had Drew Lock sighting today, and dude came up clutch. Executed himself a touchdown drive when the first time he walked in off the bench. 5 backup offensive linemen. Drew said, no problem. I've got a hose. When you got a hose, you don't worry about that kind of thing. You know? And he pulled that hose off the side of the house. He unfurled it. Hit Noah Fant. Noah got up the field. Showed off the ballerina-like footwork to keep himself in bounds. And that was a big play in this football game. Arturo says Anthony Bradford is a Grizzly, and I know a lot about Grizzlies. Oh, he is. He's one of those mean Grizzlies, too. Have you ever seen one of those trail cams of Grizzlies where they catch them in the middle of the night, and they'll get some unit of a Grizzly coming out of the forest, right? Just looking pissed. Just looking like it could just tear something in half right there. That's Anthony Bradford on a football field. Seahawks Gaming says, felt everyone had a sack except for Terrell Taylor. I think he might have been about the only guy on the schneid on that one. Jaron wasn't able to either. He came close. But indeed, Taylor's still looking for his first one of the year. And Euro says, I hope we at least split with the Niners. That's the goal for me too, man. It's going to be hard to take both those games, but if we can just get a split. We got a chance in this division if we can just get a split. Jennifer Colon says, Spoon winning the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. No doubt. Go Hawks. Jennifer, well said. How can there be any doubt on this one? Who played better defensively than Spoon this week? I mean, absolutely filled that whole stat column up in this game. Absolutely impressive across the board. You got to give it to him, Jennifer. You got to do it. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. Trills, I really love Boye Mafe. I did too. Would have been great if he could have gotten that one extra sack there. He got that one that he missed in the open field where he had Daniel Jones dead right, and Jones just kind of moved around his left shoulder, and Boye just was kind of like, whoa. But he did get the sack later on. He had a couple other pressures in this game. Boye does continue to impress. Free Truth says, had a rotation that ate 200 milligram caramels once. Oof. That's a couch lock dose right there. Trills, this game, like the pick we got for him, was worth it. Oh, yeah, Trills. Flag, I'm all for taking Cooper Bebe in the next draft. Our O-line could be set. I'm with it too, Flag. If the team wants to go jump on him as a player, like, that's a great pick. Yes. Yes, please. He's one of the safer players you could look at in this upcoming draft as far as where he's going to be as a pro, I think. Will Andreessen says, JSN will figure it out, but the scheme to get him the ball needs work. He's a first rounder for his ability to break down defenses in the middle of the field, not receptions at the line of scrimmage. Agreed, Will. I think here's where you get a little bit of the conundrum of the scheme versus the player. Let's remember with Waldron, he's coming from the McVay scheme, and the McVay scheme features their receivers and their slot receivers in this manner quite a bit, like he has with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nuka. And so he's trying to kind of probably get to a little bit of that melding what he wants to do with his offense with what JSN does well. But I think you're right on your initial point is really this most salient one, and the one that to me sits at the head of this, which is they'll figure it out. They'll find the best way to use him. He's a young player. Your offense has overall been pretty good this season. And he'll find his role, but you're right. I don't think him in bubble screens and tunnel screens is the best way to utilize him. That's how we see the Niners on Thanksgiving. We got to improve and handle our business before we see them. That's right. Let's get ourselves ready to play that team. Let's get ourselves ready to meet their level of play. And that's us climbing to that mark. That's not, we're right there right now. That's, I think, us with work to do, room to improve, room for growth. And we can get there. Trills, I'm hoping we get all our starters back. All of our Knicks out to ride the last of the season. Me too, Trills. Certainly for sure, if you're going to take this Niner team down, you got to be somewhere close to full strength, I would think. Chicken God, the problem with the Niners last year in Seattle abandoned their multi-tight end sets, couldn't handle the rush. I don't think they will make that mistake this year. I don't either. It may be something for them to call upon and utilize in that game for the Niners in particular, because you can get some chip blocks in there and you can still utilize those guys, as we've seen at times, and find some wide open holes for those tight ends as pass catchers. Ivor says we got the best running back duo in the league, and I would tend to agree with him. Who's better? Who's better than these two? I think we got the best. And Ivor says he needs more Bobo. I don't think you're alone on that one. Spuds Mac, I'm still not convinced CMC won't be hurt by the time we play them. Certainly possible. I'm watching his health very closely as well here too this year. They even had him on the sideline in the past game where they were like massaging his neck after a hit, and he was like, we'll see. We'll see if he can hold up. He is the big main key to what makes that Niner offense work right now. That offense took off and really found another level once it was CMC that was the guy making it happen for them there. And I'm pretty helped too, but McCaffrey has been a problem for them game in and game out. Hazard, we got to stop CMC and force Purdy versus our secondary. That's right. More of the pressure base looks like you saw today too. You know, bringing some of that pass rush up there. You know, stop the run on your way to the quarterback. Guys up around the line of scrimmage. Force Purdy to beat you up over the top. Wilbert says Spoon put the whole damn league on notice tonight. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Seahawks Gaming says Shanahan can't even use Kittle and Debo right now. He's using McCaffrey till the wheels fall off. I've definitely been it's been odd watching them use McCaffrey at such a high rate early on this year. I think he's already up over 100 touches on the season. And to me, it is a little bit strange to their Seahawks Gaming because you have a guy with an injury history and you think you'd want to preserve him throughout the year. You've got Elijah Mitchell, who's a functional back, but they're featuring him. He's getting touches. You know, they're going to work it. That's for sure. Johnny Utah says for sure if we'd somehow lost today, we'd be third place in the national NFC West. NFC West, as SL Hazard says, it might just be the best division in football. We thought, no way, this year we're going to get a pass. This year we're going to get some easy wins. Not so fast. Not out here in the West, where it's wild, competitive, and even when teams are tanking, they're tough. Hunter Biden's crack pipe. Using McCaffrey like that is stupid. He's getting old and beat up. I definitely, this is a little bit of that hard-headed approach Shanahan has with stuff where it's like, Shan, you know, it's like, give him like 12, 13 touches a game, right? Like, you got other parts, work those other areas, like load balance, my man. We're 4 games in. But if he wants to overuse them, so be it. You're talking about us getting to face McCaffrey at the end of the year with, at that point, 300 touches deep into the season. I don't know if he's going to hold up like that. That's tough. Seahawks Gaming, but it makes the Niners scary, though. Ayuk, Kittle, and Debo can all have a bad game, and they can still win with McCaffrey. Yeah. Niners are legit. I ain't taking nothing away from the Niners. I ain't going to try to, you know, can we build this team up to beating them? Is this too early for us to take them down? No. Certainly you can if you can continue to build on these performances in this way. But the Niners are a well-oiled machine. The Niners are playing maybe right now as the best team in the entire National Football League. And that's a machine we got to take down. It's a machine. What's up with Kittle and Debo? I think with Debo, they were using him with the Giants pretty good last week, but then he had bruised ribs and something else that was hindering him a little bit. Not sure why they're not using Kittle a little bit more. They just kind of sprinkle him in. Trills is not going to lie. Definitely a CMC fan. Great running back. His story's insane. His main rival was Sony Michel. He's a fun player. He's a good back. He runs hard for his size. You hear about the running backs. He runs bigger than his sizes. That's definitely the case with McCaffrey. And a great all-around player. You can run him like a receiver out there, and Shanahan is showing you how to use that kind of weapon. Johnny Utah Debo crushed on Thursday Night Football last week. Yes, he was awesome Thursday night. Agreed. Seahawks came in the second play for Drew Lock. They called a quarterback draw. Laughed my ass off. They don't care if he gets hurt. Was it a quarterback draw? I thought it was the pressure was coming through the pocket and the door opened up to the front. He's like, I'll take that. Johnny agrees with me. He says the Niners are the best team in the NFL right now. No bad games. Bills look good now, but stunk week 1. Miami steamrolling until yesterday. Eagles winning close games. San Francisco dominates every game. I think that's a fair assessment of the lay of the land right now, Johnny Utah. A very, very fair assessment of the lay of the land. Niners have been the best, I think, to start things out. Doesn't mean that's where they'll stay. It's a long NFL year. Things happen, but that's how they've started out the gate. Trills, Chiefs looking weak this year? Yeah, a bit. I mean, the defense is looking stronger than it's looked in recent years and even Super Bowl seasons for them. So maybe the offense is not going to have to play as strongly or as well. But they are certainly looking more vulnerable, I think, than they have recently overall offensively. And Legion of Spoon, yeah, Brian Daboll was pissed at Jones a couple times in this game. I've seen coaches get mad at quarterbacks, but there was multiple times that the camera caught him showing visible frustration with Jones and not trying to tamper any of it down, just sort of letting it loose. And I think that Daboll is definitely... it's kind of odd to see so quickly that he's reached this stage with Daniel, because you have to feel like he was consulted on whether or not that they should be giving this kid the contract that they gave him. And that would, if he did sign off on that, have him a little more patient with the process. But Daniel Jones makes playing the quarterback position look very, very hard. And it's not getting easier for him. And Johnny Utah, Chiefs are scary. They are never out of any game. That's right. I mean, Mahomes can just go into the zone all of a sudden. You're hanging on. Megan says, finally won my first game in fantasy by 28 points this week, B. I think mine was probably a bit of a rough week for me, Megan. I haven't looked at the final one, but I think mine was... I'm having a tough start to the fantasy year. I'm also going up against some guys putting some good points up on the board on me. I'm getting everybody's best effort. They're getting the Hawks nest, and they're like, I better bring my A game. Working all of the waiver wires and 360 bets. How long do you think Jamal is out? Dude's so unlucky. He is so unlucky. 360 bets. He really is. You just feel your heart goes out to the guy. It really does. I think 2 weeks is really as long. I don't think it's going to take 3 weeks. It does depend on him going through the protocols and who can say how bad it is. I'm going to say 2 weeks based on the fact he was trying to lobby to get back out on the field in this game. That means to me that he couldn't even have a light hit his eye at that point. It was going to cause a headache. He wanted to go back out and play. So I think you see him back in 2 weeks probably. Hazard, Chiefs are looking beatable this year. They're a little more susceptible. That defense is taking a step. It's a weird thing. The offense maybe gone backwards a little bit. Defense is maybe raising up just a little bit with it. 360, how do you think we do against the Bengals? I think we win, to be honest. I can't quite get a feel for the game yet to where I can quite get to the place I feel like it's a sure win. It's a 10 a.m. game in Cincinnati. Some of this depends on where Burrow's health is at. We're going to get a feel for that this upcoming week. I'm going to watch that game pretty closely and how he looks. And if he is diminished, I think that does change my outlook for the game. And he has looked diminished in recent weeks. Hawks fan says, Bobby's so good, I can't believe we let him leave. I can't either. And you know what you had there, Hawks fan, is you had the Hawks sitting in a position where you had taken Jordan Brooks 2 years prior, and there was a thinking of maybe we've just played Jordan Brooks for his first 2 years out of position, as a will linebacker in a 4-3 defense. And maybe that's a big part of the reason he's struggling in coverage. And then you also had Cody Barton, who you had taken in the 3rd round out of Utah a couple of years prior, and you're waiting to kind of get him on the field and get him started, see what you got in him. And that drive and desire to do that, while at the same time probably thinking at that time when you released Bobby, we are heading into a rebuild year. We're not going to be particularly good. Drove you to that decision. But you should have kept him. He should never play with the Rams for a year. He should retire a Hawk. The way he's playing right now, he ain't even done with football. He's still got some more left after this year with the way he's going right now. And he continues to ascend up that ladder of all-time middle linebacker rankings and where he sits. And I love what he's bringing to the table, man. And Utero not having Adams this game might help for Cincinnati, since nothing on tape with our D with him. I think in Utero, Cincinnati's going to be confused as hell anyway when they look at our tape. When you look at the way we've run our defense through 4 weeks, it's kind of been a little bit different every week. And you're moving parts all around, different players in different positions. It's going to be hard to get kind of a track record on this defense for as far as playing to tendencies when things have been kind of random and chaotic. Be a guessing game there for them. And in Utero, there were penalties on both teams, and I'm never a fan of going to penalties. I tried to bite my tongue throughout this game. But I'll tell you what, man, it was very sus through that first half with the way those penalties were going, because it wasn't just a matter of there being penalties on both teams. It was also the way those penalties were costing. It was then you get an overturn call on the 74-yard run by Walker. You have multiple times in this game where the officials call a flag on the Giants. Then they have one of their little crew meetup moments, and then they wipe the flag away. I don't think we had one moment where there was a flag of ours that was wiped away in this game. You got a play down there to Tyler Lockett on a 50-yard throw down the sideline where it's a big flip of the field there in that point. The flag's out. It's an obvious PI, and you happen to have a holding penalty back up on the other end of it. It was getting a little bit frustrating, and it didn't all seem very legit through it. There were some legit calls in there. The DK Metcalf holding, for instance, sure. But there were other ones where it was like, there was one play, I think, where Phil Haynes got ran over by Lawrence, which is what Lawrence is going to do. And I've never understood where if a lineman gets just run over, why you call the flag on them at that point. He wasn't pulling him down to the ground. Lawrence just ran over him. And I think that was literally the play on the Tyler Metcalf PI. So it's a little bit beyond just the penalties on this one, what I'm saying in Utero. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit more to the penalties that got wiped, the offsetting calls, overturned call when there really wasn't, to me, conclusive evidence that they should overturn it. If the call on the field is down at that time, fine. Not conclusiveness to overturn it for a 75-yard touchdown. But if the call on the field is a touchdown, then it's not conclusive to be down, in my opinion. Primo, thank you for another $5 donation. I really do appreciate the double don't know tonight, Primo. Says, almost forgot. No questions, no comments. Just for the love of the game show. Well, thank you, Primo. I love the way you put that, man. When you drop those donos, it's an eloquent and beautiful way to put it. I love it. And same here, man. For the love of the game, for the love of the show, brother. For the love of being able to talk it up and chop it up with you guys. Appreciate you, man. Jack M. Jamal Adams had a droopy right eye when being helped off. I could tell right then it was a head injury. Yeah, I mean, when he was not able to get up off the ground and you could see it was totally the body language of a concussion, you're going, okay, that's a legit concussion. I always think this is my non-medical opinion. This is me eyeballing it. From my couch, it looked like, like an 8 on the 10 concussion scale. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on YouTube. Daniel says, okay, really, there's an obsession with making a nickname with his spoon part. We need to figure something out to do with Wither or Withers because he withers offensive player schemes. I like where you're going, Daniel. We're kind of spitballing this one. I get it. Yeah. I even think we can maybe end up going away from the name itself, too. Doesn't have to be with the Devin. Doesn't have to be with the Witherspoon. Could be something in the name of the way he plays, too, with it as well. But I think you're on the right track here. Bud Withers, ain't no sunshine. Hamza says, can you use underdog fantasy in the state of Washington? Sadly, and unfortunately, you cannot use underdog fantasy in the state of Washington unless, I believe, you go into a casino. And if you go into a casino, they have a little bit of like a specialized area there where you can have, if you have the app on your phone, you're logged into the Wi-Fi on the casino, then you can use the app. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt to a degree for folks that are in Washington to use the app in that way. But there is a pathway there to do that, at least if you're in the state. You also remind me on this, and I want to thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this show, sponsoring us throughout the course of this upcoming NFL season. Normally, just use my code. You click it down the link, you're only getting $100. But to your point, your question on this right now, Hamza, for the next 24 hours, because you guys have used my code so well, so often, so good here to begin things off with Underdog Fantasy, they have increased the offer to my people alone. No one else has this offer out there. $500 through October 4th. They will match you on your first deposit up to $500 when you use my code. You can click it down there below in the link. $500 on the Hawks Nest from me to you via Underdog Fantasy right now throughout the course of the year. And if you're in the state of Washington, you can go take advantage of that by heading on into a casino. You're able to do it at that point. But yes, limitations do apply in certain states because there's certain rules here and other certain rules there. Thank you, though, at Underdog for sponsoring the show. Jack M says, well said about the emotionality that concussions cause. Yeah, it's just one where we've, I was trying to reference Jack on it for maybe one of the fellow Hawk fans have been around for a bit of time and seen this before in a couple of different fashions and ways. But one that stands out to me is Darrell Jackson. And he got absolutely crushed in a game in Dallas where it was one of the more brutal hits you'll see. You can still find it on YouTube, I'm sure, if you actually look it up. The Darrell Jackson Dallas hit just got waylaid, and it was a very serious concussion and one that saw him trying to get into fights and almost getting into almost a psychotic-like state in the locker room as it was referenced. And it was there where I started to become more aware of that this is a kind of injury that will cause out the emotions. You know, Luke Kuechly being taken on the cart, and the Panthers a couple of years ago having another one of those serious concussions. He had many of them. He's crying in tears. Luke is as tough as a guy as you're going to find on a football field. He ain't crying tears because he's soft or weak. It's because the emotions are swooning inside of you with those kind of concussion injuries like that. It's the nature of those injuries a little bit, a weird nature of those injuries. Jeffrey O'Kelly's, everybody finna be worried about the Seahawks. We finna go crazy the rest of the year. Let's go, Jeffrey. We're definitely warming up. I'll tell you that. We're warming up. And Utero says Spoon has more snaps than Carter too. Yeah, and that's with Spoon not playing in the whole first game in Utero. Part of why I say when I reference to Carter, you folks like Carter. He's been impactful. He's had his place on that team with the Eagles, but he's playing about 30 to 35% of the snaps. He's heavily rotated out. He's not a guy that's in there he gets gassed kind of quick still. And that goes back to college with him. It may come with time that he can play more and more snaps. And look, some of this is the Eagles having a really great defensive line with Jordan. Was it Jordan? The Jordan kid from Georgia, the big monstrous dude. And then you got Fletcher Cox still down there. But, it's the difference between having a guy playing 30, 35% of the snaps and the other guy playing almost 100% of the snaps. And which one's going to have the more potential to have more impact? You know, that's a big difference between those two. JL says Spoon isn't a wizard by any chance, is he? Wizard Spoon? He's not a wizard. He's just a warlock. That's much more deadly. Well, hand grenade, I was eating a taco at 11:30 at night. As one does. It's a victory. That's a victory taco, my man. Wizard Spoon. I'll put it on. I don't know if that one's gonna click, but it's worth throwing into the pool and see if it floats. QB 206. Thank you, Brandon. Oh, my pleasure. 36 back Hawks Nest. Top 3 people impressing you on defense and offense right now. I think we got to lean on defense first and foremost. You got to go Witherspoon. He's been absolutely fantastic for you. The two guys I would go in addition to that are, I would have a hard time going to 3 because there's 4 for me on the defense 360 and 4 very clear guys for me right now on the defense. And that would be Witherspoon at the forefront. I think that Bobby Wagner would be my number 2. And then my number 3 would be a combination of Mario Edwards Jr. and Jaron Reed, both playing at kind of a similar level, both very impressive, both far outperforming what we thought they were going to provide when they were signed as free agents. On the offensive side, the top 3 people impressing me. Quite honestly, I think Geno Smith has been very impressive to me. Coming through these 3 games as he's had to come through, both being injured, dealing with a backup line, not everything smoothly set up for him to go out there and excel, and to have the last couple of games prior to this game doing what he did. And he made enough throws in this game. That toss to DK Metcalf as he's rolling out down the sideline, and to have to fit that ball into a tight window as he's moving, showing off the arm talent that he indeed does have. He's been, I think, a very impressive guy to keep the water steadied for you at the quarterback position as you are having these issues right now with some of the injuries there on that offensive line. Number 2, the number 2 most impressive one for me has probably been Walker. I think that he's done the most with what he's had available to go out there and get. They haven't always consistently stayed with the run, and there's not always been consistent holes there for him in the running game. I think Charbonnet's been right there step for step with him in his impressiveness too, so I don't want to take like Charbonnet hasn't been with it as well. But I think you got to give it to Walker a little bit. And then beyond that, maybe a little bit of an honorable mention to DK and Anthony Bradford. Anthony been very, very, very good for us for him coming in and what I thought he'd be at in his first year as raw as he was coming out of LSU. And then DK just being steady. Not always featured, not always are you going to be able to feature him as much as you maybe would like to, but when he's being thrown the ball, he is catching the ball. I think that his catch rate right now is probably pretty crazy. In fact, I want to look it up here really quickly. DK Metcalf on the season right now has been targeted 23 times, and he's caught 18 of those passes for 2 touchdowns. And, is he setting the world on fire, the league on fire? No. But is he making the most of when you throw him the ball? Is he catching? Is he on pace for well over 1,000 yards again? For nearly 10 touchdowns receiving again? Yeah. Yeah, he is. Scarecrow 66, thank you for the $2 donation. He says, idea, Spoonvid package to Soundgarden's Spoonman. Too obvious? No, I think it would be a great idea, Scarecrow. The tough part is this. With YouTube's rules on this, they let a little bit of room. They let a little bit of room when it comes to like movies, and if you take a little small clip from a movie for a quick subset, but you can get stuff struck for any of the music stuff that's even a little tiny smidgen of music. Even if I just cut to Spoonman, and then as I'm cutting it on the, not even run the rest of the song, just do that. Like that might be enough to get it locked. And so you got to be really careful with the mainstream music stuff you use. All the music I use on the channel is all open, fair use, not, copyrighted at all from YouTube, just because this is a real sensitive spot for whatever reason with YouTube. But I love it, man. It'd be a great highlight to do. I'd love to be able to use like all the music out there for highlights, because they make the highlight packages way better. You could time it up to the beats and the drops, and sometimes when you got to use the generic stuff, it's just not as rich in that. But they kind of got a lockdown, Scarecrow, on that one a little bit. I've had a few times in the past I've tried to upload and see if I could get through with with something that's a little bit more of a awesome bit of music, and they put the kibosh on it quick. Thank you though, man, for that $2 donation. I think that's a great idea. I'll see if I can maybe I can get a short on with it, Scarecrow. Maybe I can put a little bit of one of those like creative shorts together, and because it's under 60 seconds, they'll let it pass. If I did like 30 or something. Jordan Hodson says, man, I'm tired of Myers. He can be frustrating, and it's a down year. Quinn says Michael Dixon may genuinely be one of the best punters of all time. It's legit, Slangwin. It's absolutely legit. I did a little bit of a deeper dive on this offseason, and when he was, or it might have been last offseason when he was re-signed to that contract extension, and you looked at his numbers historically speaking, and it's special. I think he's top 20 all time, top 25 all time in net, in his inside the 20 percentage, and in his one other one that he had. I'm trying to think of what it was. It might have been just in the pure distance, but you put them together and you're like, wow, this guy's having, as a start of the career where he's at 5 years in, this is as good a start as any punter in this sport's ever been. And he's the full meal deal as a punter. Hang time, depth, directional punting, inside the 20. He can do every bit of it. In utero, I do believe that Ray Guy is the only punter in the Hall of Fame. Hard to be able to get in there anytime going in the future unless you're kicking averaging 60-yard punts, probably. Jack M., I was acknowledging the Hawks Nest was correct about how sometimes a head injury can cause... you're talking to Megan. Johnny Utah's his highest punt average, and that double punt highlight from last year, he's the only punter ever every football fan knows. Hell yeah, man. He's got the fake punt. Remember back in the Saints, too? Put a little highlight package together for Dixon. Jack M says, like you lose rationality and suddenly what you want becomes all you can think about after a concussion. In Adams' case, he wanted on the field. Beautifully put, Jack. 100% agree with you, man. 100% agreed. Shane Leckler does have an outside shot, big country. He may eventually get in there. Might have to be a veterans committee kind of thing. Jack M says, I love the physicality of football, but I'm all for protecting the head. Too many older players that have CTE and ruin their life, and it's not their fault. Correct, Jack. I'm with that too. I think the NFL has been very smart in taking a calculated approach here and not the laissez-faire one. Now, they've not done so from the goodness of their own heart. They're just trying not to get sued. But it's still, whatever way that they bring upon an improvement to the game, it's an improvement to the game to remove the head collisions and to protect the head and have these rules in place for these guys who do obviously sustain concussions, not allowing them back on the field. Because, of course, when you allow them back on after a concussion, that's how you can have another one very quickly. If you have one, you want to give it the time to truly heal as much as it can in that short order. And Jack says they get hurt for our enjoyment. They do, man. It's one reason you'll always hear me very rarely ever point out or say some guy's not, people like to go, well, this guy's soft, or he ain't soft getting in the NFL. You got to be a strong man. That's why we also celebrate them when they are able to succeed and get it done, because they've gone through the flames and the fire and emerged to the other side of it, and toughness and resiliency, and part of what I love about this sport. It's not easy. Brandon, legit win with mental pressure from all sides in the first quarter. Players hurt, Giants dirty, refs sketchy. They fought on. Beautifully put, Brandon. Beautifully put. I got nothing more to add. That's accurate and succinct and well put. Chicken God, I also like that the Hawks are staying committed to using these multi-tight end sets. Last year, they wavered back and forth with that, and the games they struggled the most, they abandoned the tight end. Indeed, they've leaned with it pretty much early on here, Chicken God. I do wonder if there might be a little bit less of it once you get to more of a stage of having your offensive line back to fuller strength. But it should also always be a part of the offense to some degree. Shouldn't be something that's completely bailed upon. And I think ideal here is to get a nice mix over the course of a game, keeping a defense on its toes. Standard Champion says the defense found its identity and swagger in this game. Certainly a performance you can build upon, right, Standard Champion? You would think. I love that. You guys are putting this in a beautiful way. I love it. I can't add more than what you guys are saying on it. Just great. Ox fan, wonder what the Niners or Eagles would look like with a backup offensive line. I don't think that they're able to do what we've done these past 3 games. I'll tell you that. Maybe the Niners, but definitely not the Eagles, who need their offensive line at the strength it's in to get done what they get done. So great point on your part. Seahawks Gaming, how did Witherspoon have 2 sacks? I have only seen 1. Seahawks Gaming, there was a point in this game where the Giants were trying a little trickeration, and you could see when I think it was Slayton got the ball in a fly sweep, or it might have been a pitch play, and as Slayton is going out wide, he changes into his hands a quarterback stance. So he goes from it being under his hand to then having his hand like this if you go and watch the replay of it. And so it's actually a very well spotted by the scorekeeper where that in that moment, Slayton's looking to make a throw. He's got his eyes down the football field. He's looking to make a throw. Witherspoon reacts on it so fast and is so quickly on top of him that it's actually a sack at that point because Slayton has turned into a quarterback in that moment. Megan says, I have never enjoyed being so right about Spoon as I am now. Congrats, Megan. You hit this one on the head, that's for sure. 360 Bets, the Giants stream is a real throwback for all the OGs. Makes this win so much better. I don't see them this year. And for some of you newer folks in this house, I talked a little bit about it here when we first started up, but indeed we had a time period here where there was a Giants stream about 2 years ago, and it was that Giants game at home we lost. Colt McCoy, the quarterback. Russell just kind of imploded in that game. One of the toughest losses, maybe the toughest loss of that season. And boy, did those Giants fans come in and rub our nose in it. They were taking dollops of the poo and just, And I mean, it was in mass. I swear to God, we had half the Bronx in here. And it is oddly silent. All I hear from New York, silence. Chicken God skill set aside, when comparing Carter and Spoon, it's also the type of character and personality Spoon has and how he fits in with the team, which is just so great. Agreed? Big part of that too. Certainly providing a little bit of a swagger for that secondary, Chicken God, isn't he? A little bit. Tony right in the house. What's up, Tony? Tough loss for your folks out there in London. Tony, aren't these European games stupid? Aren't they just dumb? Feel bad for your Falcons on that one. Tony says, good evening, Brandon, and congratulations on your win. It was a total domination with a club record 11 sacks. Outside linebacker Boye Mafe is really okaying along for your squad. Tony, I know where your reference is in there, but I know where there's a little bit of frustration, and you're a big man for doing it. You're a good man for doing it. Because I know tonight, right now, there's a little bit, gotta be your Falcons team's 2-2, and you gotta be feeling like, man, we could be 3-1, we could be 4-0. And you're waiting for Ebiketie to pop a bit. You know, you're waiting for him to pop a bit. And it's been fun to watch those guys track them both, Tony, and see what each of them's doing, a bit. But Mafe's hoping to maybe up a little bit of a lead on him here now, as they both, up until this point, last year especially, kind of neck and neck with how they both were kind of playing. But I still think Ebiketie's going to get there too, Tony. But thank you, man. I appreciate the congrats. Your Falcons will bounce back soon, brother. It's that playing in London stuff, man. We played in Germany last year, and it threw our whole season off. So that's why I have a lot of sympathy for you on that game with Jacksonville. Brandon Moody says, Pumpkin's a legend. She is a legend. Look at her. She's all active. She's got little hands on top of the thing. She's checking out the action. Danny W says, Devin Witherspoon. Devin Witherdoom. Devin Withers you. I don't know. It's a work in progress. Hey, we're working this out, man. It's a process, Daniel. We're not going to land it overnight. We got to work our way to find the right answer here. Maggie says, Pumpkin's our queen. Yeah, she's doing this super cute double paw move right now on the top of the deal. She's definitely sphinxing it right now. This is her Sphinx power stance right now. Legion of Spoon. Yeah, Dayball should have waited until the film room for the outburst. Bit too much. You're not, I understand you're upset. I understand you're frustrated, Brian. I get all that. But this is not the way. It was never a good look when you had Mike Ditka chewing off Jim Harbaugh's head or any other coaches you see him do it. It's like Parcells when he would do it. It doesn't bring about the best of benefits, I don't think, to the players on that. And it certainly seemed to have like thrown Daniel Jones even more. If he was already starting to kind of like struggle like that, just kind of sent him over it definitely affected him. And yeah, just get to the film room on that at that point. Scarecrow, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, would you buy a t-shirt that said, you spoony bard? Thank you for the $2 donation. It might be a tad vague for those Witherspoon types. I'd have to almost put his direct face on it to make sure it clicked in. And then I'm getting hit with the using a person's likeness stuff, you know. Maybe. I guess it depends on how the graphics look on the shirt, you know. Is it a spoon that we're showing like razor blades coming off of it or something, Scarecrow? Yeah. Jack says Dayball was downright so toxic, like he was essing on his quarterback from what I saw. Yeah, he kept going at him. Like every time Jones was coming off the field, he was just being over the top with it. I get the frustration on Daniel Jones. Once again, though, I'm consistent on this. If I'm trying to give our quarterbacks room for having to deal with the backup offensive line situation, why would we not provide Daniel Jones the same if you're Brian Daboll? You have him coming out there, and I know that there's some reads that Daboll's seeing on the tape, and that's pissing him off because he's like, Daniel should have saw that, but no center, no left guard who's now moved to center, no left tackle, no star left tackle. Evan Neal has not necessarily performed up to what they thought he was going to be coming out of Alabama. You're starting a new right guard in this game. There is a bit of that on this where it's like, how much of this is really we're just going to put solely onto Jones' shoulders when he's dealing with that as an impediment to his play, and a pretty big impediment at that. Three hours, Jamal would have had the sack Spoon had because he would have been blitzed instead. Maybe. It's possible. Well, hand grenade Drew has experience with the backup lineman. Don't forget that. That's a good point. Probably made him feel a little more comfortable. J.L. Bradford and the Giants D lineman literally looked like two bears locked up on each other. It did. It looked like those wildlife videos with the two male bears when they're trying to get the woman. They're trying to get the lady bear. And they just go... Fur flying out, tufts of fur flying, drooling. They're both crapping and pissing at the same time as they're locked in a fight. That's kind of like what it was between Leonard Williams and Bradford. Just exactly that, pretty much, actually. Seahawks game, he says, felt like Mafe had 20 pressures. Like Edwards did last week. He was good. He was good, yeah. I think that's pretty accurate. He's going to have a good number of them, that's for sure. $360 bets. Do we have to play Witherspoon at nickel now? Too good not to. I think you move him around a bit, 360. I think some of the matchups might play into this a little bit. Who does the team have on the outside versus who do they have in the slot as an option? / also, where's your health at? Some of this in moving him in there tonight was determined by the health of your slot room. No Kobe Bryant, no Artie Burns. I think Julian Love had to go back out to strong safety. So there was a bit of a necessity here to moving him out there. Into the future, is it still that way? We're going to have to see on that. Megan says, this is what I saw from Spoon from day one over Carter, B. And you're looking very right on your side of it here, Megan. Very much so. Scott Clark says CMC has lots of miles on him. He does. And this is the part that I worry about with him. We were having some really good active debate on the last stream in regards to this of, is the injury prone thing or the made of glass, or he's got an injury problem thing fair to hang on him when it's really just 2 years of his career that's been an issue with. And maybe not. He did play a lot of games last year. He did have 3 16-game seasons through his first 3 seasons. But the data that you're referencing and the data that I think about too, Scott, is that I think it's 2,500 total touches or something like that between college and the pros. And once running backs reach that mark, the data pretty much shows that those guys just crater down in their performance level. And he is, I think, at that spot. But we'll see how the year goes with that with CMC. And especially, Scott, with him on pace right now as it stands to be at like 400 touches for the year. That's where he's standing right now. I can't think that the Niners are going to continue with that into the future. But he is playing awesome. Don't want to seem like I'm not giving the guy his props. He's really good. But you do wonder about the load with him. The load balance. Legion Spoon, that DK touchdown catch was pretty crazy. It was. Magnificent throw by Gino, and good job by DK to reel in a pass that had smoke coming off the back of it. Hawks are the ace. If our defense plays like that, they did in the second half, then Burrow's going to get it. Go Hawks. Go Hawks. Let's go. Val Ramos, CMC definitely is on an MVP-like run right now. Johnny says, Johnny Utah says in the post-game presser, Spoon said playing slot is a win-win for him. Hell yeah. He can ball either way. He says, I'll be balling wherever you put me. Don't worry about it. I don't care where you're going to line me up. I'll ball out. Seahawks gaming playing behind that Niners offensive line. Ball carriers are untouched until after like 20 yards down the field. A lot of holes that offensive line creates in that running game. Yeah. And when you have a good back already in CMC who can make something happen without having a big hole, it's tough. Bomber says, I think the only way we beat the Niners is if we play like this against the Niners with the offense playing how it did against the Lions. I think you're right on that, the King Bomber. I don't think we've reached our final state or final form, and we're kind of building up hopefully to that. One of the nice parts of having the Niners, I think, a little bit later on in the year is that you can get to that spot of hopefully a little bit on the other better side of the health factor of things, playing stronger on both sides of the ball, the full realizations of both plans on offense and defense. Hope so. 3 hour, I get Colby is playing out of position, but he hasn't played good this year. They will play best player at each position, but Kobe would be better on the outside. You're right, since he played it in college. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a good slot guy for, like you say, just the reason he's 6'1". I just don't think it's a great place for him. And you're right. He hasn't necessarily looked like he stepped forward this year playing better there. It didn't help when they're moving him to safety in the preseason, and he's not just allowed to kind of lock in on the slot. But Witherspoon might very well be our best slot. And in Trey Brown and Mike Jackson and maybe Kobe Bryant on top of that, you've got plenty of guys on deck there on the outside that can give you good performance on the outside that can hold up. And this may end up being what educates the coaching staff to go in that direction, to your point on it, 3 hour. 360 bets, Brooks with 2 sacks tonight. I feel like that's the 4th this year. Dude's been playing well. He's been playing lights out well. Yeah. Improved across the board this year from Brooks, and sliding into, I think, a little bit more of that Will-like linebacker role as opposed to the pure Mike, not having the dot on the back of his helmet. I think it's been pretty beneficial for him and being able to just play fast, loose, and free this year. And we found kind of a new opening with him as more of a blitzer type guy this year, which has been great. Holy Hand Grenade, have a great night, man. Appreciate you. Megan, thank you for reminding me. Please do hit that like button if you could for me, please. It does help the channel out. Helps me grow. Helps me show up with other folks looking for hot content. Chicken God says, one thing about McCaffrey is he has only completed playing a full season 50% of the seasons in the NFL he's played. Yeah, but it's a little bit of a misnomer, Chicken God, because you've got first year 16 games, second year 16 games, third year 16 games. Then I think it's 5. Then I think it's 7. And I think last year he played 16. So he technically missed 1 game last year, but he basically played a full season. We'll see how long he lasts, though. Like King Bomber says, we'll see if he can hold up with the amount of touches he had, with the amount of carries he's had. He's not the biggest of guys. Seahawks Gaming can't believe the Chiefs fans are blaming Mahomes' overthrows and INTs on Bieniemy leaving a coach can't affect how you throw a ball. I would think not, Seahawks Gaming. Mahomes is playing a little more wilder than he's played recently. He was locking in such a disciplined fashion last year. especially the short passing attack, and really changing his ways in a major fashion from the gung-ho, F it, Tyreek Hill's down there somewhere kind of approach to playing the position at times. Not that he couldn't play it badly that way, but just it was more of a thinking man's approach to it last year. And there's some throws this year where it's a little bit more of just, let's try this. Seahawks Gaming, Jason Kelsey took Cody Barton on a ride. I'm not surprised there. Cody Barton cannot get off a second level block for his life. And yeah, if you need more Seahawks, we got Bobby Wagner back on great value. 1 year, $7 million. We're getting every bit of every penny, every dime worth of value on that deal right now. Jack M says, got a cute cat, knowledgeable Hawks talk, and a romantic comedy. Wish I could afford to sub officially. Thank you, Jack. Hey, no worries, man. You're a member of the channel. I appreciate that. Subbing up. You're doing all I could ask for on that, so I appreciate you, brother. See, I was I'm watching Ravens games, and they bring in Clowney on pass rush downs, and he's living in the backfield. I don't know what happened in Cleveland, but he's balling. Cleveland wanted to use him in more of the spinner role that some coaches have gotten fascinated with Clowney over his career. And he's such a big guy, and they like what he can maybe bring inside from time to time. And it gets him in on, at times now, stuck on double teams and inside on guards. And he wants to operate off the outside. And when he's on the outside, I've long said this too. That's why I thought he would be a great fit for us even going forward beyond that year he played with us. You know, I was a big proponent of bringing him back because I think Carroll would put him in the right position to succeed. Not in this, like, I've got this weird fascination with putting him into this kind of specialized role, which really isn't going to get the most out of him. And Clowney tended to think and open publicly said this, that it was a little bit seemingly a move that the Browns were driven by doing because they want to get more out of Miles Adams and let him have his run. But yeah, the Ravens are using him right. DVN, they were right about our coverages, but the only players they knew were some of our trenches, Woolen and Adams, and were very condescending towards all of them. Players they knew were some of our trenches. DVN says it's funny because I watched the Giants pregame show and they swore the Giants were going to put up 30. Legion of Spoon, not sure how Brooks got so good after injury. I don't know either, man. I think some of it's the slide to it's basically playing like a will linebacker role right now versus middle linebacker. And I think that's just an easier spot for him. He doesn't have to, he can just kind of run more freer, it seems like. And Utero, you have a good night, man. Appreciate you. Chicago's where quarterbacks go to die. I don't completely blame Justin Fields for all that's going on. I don't either. I mean, the coach showed last week against Denver with that stupid decision not to get the field goal and take the lead there in that moment that it's dysfunctional there and it's been there for a while. And Justin got brought onto Chicago when they didn't have the line in place, which has not helped his development. I don't think the story's set on Justin Fields based off of just what happens this year, and I won't be the least bit surprised when there is a team that rises to the forefront willing to give him a second opportunity, especially if that team does happen to find itself with a fairly decent offensive line to protect him. Megan says, I thought of sunshine for Ain't No Sunshine, B. That's right. Ain't no sunshine when you're gone. A great little short I saw today on this guy that does these funny bits where he's doing a Bud Withers the song where it's gonna be a lovely day, and Withers holds the note, and he's got the whole rest of the band playing out like he's holding the note, like they're like, what is he doing? And he just keeps holding it. Gonna be a lovely day. It goes on that long holding of the note. Seahawks blue and green. At least Adams has the bye week, so he won't miss the next game. Hopefully, that's how I see it as well. I think it's going to go that route too. Megan B, as soon as I saw the concussion, I was reminded of the Steve Largent hit but hardened and the concussion that nearly killed my younger brother if his brain hit the side of the head half an inch more. It's pretty brutal hit. And I've seen those happen a lot, Megan. That the knee beyond any other part of the leg can turn into a weapon for a ball carrier if it hits the side of the helmet on those players. And they got Jamal right on the button, as they say. I think Cambodian beef stick is going to be the nickname for Charbonnet. It's just got to be. A1 says, just make Witherspoon's nickname Wolverine. I like that. I like that one. 12th man, stand up. Let's just ride the vibe. Jeff, our time will come. Oh, you're speaking with Jeff. Sorry. Seahawks gaming, the only thing that can stop Seattle is the blue injury tent. That's right. As they say, pro football is like nuclear warfare. There are no winners, just survivors. A1 said, we need to find an animal like Tyrann Matthews' nickname, like the honey badger. I'm with it. I like it. Creative is a little bit different, on that one. Chicken God, what's the plan with Dwayne Eskridge when he returns from his 6-week suspension? Who stays, who goes? Bobo stays on the active roster 100%. So what that means is you have Cody Thompson, who was even active in this game, made a catch, becomes the guy that goes back to your practice squad. And so then he'll be coming off at that point at 6 weeks. And at that point, he's your bubble screen guy. Maybe they work him in with some manufactured touches. Maybe he becomes a punt return guy for you at that point. Hard to say what his role would be exactly. But I think that's how they would fit him in, I believe. Will Bigham, I love the Manning's reaction to Spoon's pick 6. I'll have to check it out, man. Jason Dewar says, I thought it was super obvious that his butt hit the ground. I couldn't quite tell, man. I tried to look close and I never saw it myself, but it may have been. Admittedly, I'd like to take a closer look at it again, just take a peek, but I'll take a look here. 12th man stand up. Spoon is an absolute monster who seeks out contact. No doubt a better pick than Carter because Spoon's energy is infectious. Well said, 12th man stand up. Love it, man. And I agree. Daniel, with the way Spoon hits, he makes their bones shiver. Bone shiver Spoon. Laughing out loud. Might as well throw that in the hat in the race. Bone shiver Spoon. Throw it out there. Bone shiver Spoon. What do you think, kitty? How does that sound? Payt HV says, man, what's up with your boy Jamal Adams? Why is he always getting hurt? I made a guess that it was a voodoo priestess that he hooked up with at LSU at some point. That's my best guess. That's all I got. Ivor, speaking of tight ends, I feel like Fant is underappreciated. Oh, very much so. I mean, the guy's just consistent. He's not always the flashiest. He made a hell of a play on that catch after the run. I mean, that's a 7-8 yard catch there in the flat. He just takes it right up the field there. Shows off some of those wheels he's got. But he's steady. You throw him the ball, he catches it. He's a pretty solid blocker overall too. Good complete player. And finding a real active role in this offense throughout these last 3 weeks. Brandon the Cut says, I could send you some beats to use for the highlight package. Hey, send it on to TheSeahawksNest. Just make sure that we're clear on it with it fully with the I have to be careful, man, because it's like you can use something that's like usable and then somebody comes back and claims it later on when they gave it the free pass. It's like it's real tough. You got to be real certain on that stuff. But I'm down. You got something good to use, send it my way. Please. A1 says, we knew Spoon was going to be good and physical, just everyone was caught up in the Carter because we couldn't stop the run before. True. Gee God, this is the best I've seen Metcalf play so far. He's running better routes, making tougher catches, and after his blow-up a couple weeks ago, I think Pete got through to him. I'd agree with you, man. I think he's playing as well as he's ever played. I'm very happy with what he brings to the table on this team, and that's all I could kind of say, like you say about it. I feel great about what he's providing. Seahawks Gaming, you know what's a great idea? Tariq Woolen is a kick returner or a punt returner. He's got that speed, and we have Sherman do it. We had Sherman do it. We had Sherman do it a little bit. I want to protect Tariq. I don't want to put him back there on punt returns. I think that just sets him up for getting injured, I feel like. Scarecrow says, in some circles, Devin is destined to be known as Devin the Bard Witherspoon, maybe. I'm open to working it. We can maybe go that one with it. We'll throw it on the pop on the Barbie and see if it cooks. Feed me more Seahawks. Thank you for the $2 donation. He says, I replayed the Walker tutty and his elbow was not down. That's what it looked like to me too. There was a lot of, rubber chips, whatever that crap is, those rubber little things that they have coming up. It's all over the place, but I never could quite see a moment where it looked really clear and apparent that he was down. If the call is on the field that he's down, you go back and you review it and you come back and go, it's not conclusive. I'm good. I'm cool with that. But to say that was conclusive with some of the close angles that they were showing on the replays, it didn't add up to me, Feed Me More Seahawks. Seemed a little bit of a dodgy, especially when it comes in conjunction with some of those other calls in that first half that were very much in alignment with that one. Thank you though, man. That $2 donation. I appreciate you. Roxanne coming in with her second $20 drop tonight. I thank you so very much for that, Roxanne. Appreciate you. I know you're celebrating. And Roxanne, I did see as well. I saw it just before I went live, so I didn't have a chance to respond to your donation you put on one of my videos out there, but I saw you put that donation on there. Definitely will get to responding to that. So thank you for all that support and those donations, and member of the channel. Long time, my longest tenured member maybe of the channel out here. But thank you for that, Roxanne. I really, really do appreciate that. I hope you got a big fat smile on your face tonight, just ear to ear Joker grin, considering just how fantastic we played in this game. It was wonderful. Roxanne says, Brandon, you and Pumpkin are a class act. This stream is so enjoyable and gives us true perspective as to what we are witnessing each season. This is a good product. I'm quite buzzed. So good night and go Hawks. Well, I love it. You should be buzzed. A happy buzzed glow to you. That's exactly what you should have tonight, Roxanne. Thank you for that $20 donation, but thank you especially for those kind comments, your great, unfailing support that's been there for years on end now. I really do appreciate that. And thank you. Pumpkin appreciates it too. She says thank you. I'll get her to say, can you say thank you? Give me just one thank you. Just one? Just one? No? Just purrs? Happiness? She's just happy, Roxanne. She appreciates it though. She silently is appreciating it. Usually I can get one thank you. One thank you? Just one? Okay. You're sleepy. You're sleepy. But Roxanne, you're awesome. You're awesome. And have those great dream sleep of Super Bowl victories and Lombardi trophies. Do it. Thank you though. $20 donation. Amazing support. Second $20 drop tonight from Roxanne. She is awesome. Sim Ranjit. Thank you for the $2.79 donation. There's nothing on your comment on your dono, but thank you for that support to the channel. It is very much appreciated. Brandon Moody says, fan ballin'. Call him Noah feet after that play. How about those light feet from the big man? Yeah, players coming down, trying to knock you out of bounds, gets those feet up, knocks him a little bit, just moves a couple inches aside. You see that 1 foot come right down, and you can see just that green, that beautiful green between the white that indicates that he indeed was still in bounds as he was keeping his feet going down the sideline. And tripped up then at that point, the 2. And from there, it was easy work getting in the end zone. Chicken God, I trust Dallas a lot as a kick returner. He's probably having his best season as a Seahawk. Well said, Chicken God. He's been very impressive. He had a good punt return in this game, too. Got you past the 50-yard line on a nice punt late in this game. And I think you could almost say maybe one of his best moments in this game was on something where he wasn't carrying the ball or blocking or doing anything as far as a play goes. But when you had the Giants playing a little bit, I'm not going to call it full on dirty, but playing a little bit up to that line in this game. And there's the moment where that punt rolls to a stop and DJ's kind of looking at it like, maybe I'll go and do something with it. But he doesn't make a move for it. He's just kind of standing there looking at it. And then the Giant defender just blasts him, right? And a play which a lot of times the officials are going to call that flag on a Giant player there if it's another game. But DJ doesn't react. He's just, okay. Goes over the sideline, keeps his head. Love to see that from DJ. It was really good. JL says Trey Brown looked good on that 1 punt return. You can maybe do a little bit of it. Again, I don't like putting the corners back there because we've already seen our corner room get a little bit light here this year. I just as soon as I think have DJ back there and just call it a day. Or Eskridge, for instance. Jeffrey says, I'm pretty sure when McIntosh comes back, he's going to become a returner. Or McIntosh. McIntosh would be great too, Jeffrey. I think any of those guys would be good. Let's not do corners, though. It's kind of risky for those guys. And I'll be right back. One sec, folks. Do 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 do. Chicken God tell Darian Eskridge he's the kick returner, and that's his livelihood depends on it. There we go. Matthew Phillips, we would be like the Dolphins ignoring concussion protocols. Just kidding, of course. Matthew got the Dolphins catching strays. A few more Seahawks. Adams got lucky. If Daniel Jones' knee went a different direction, he could have broke his neck. It's possible. It's possible. I don't think it would take just a perfect landing spot on that kind of hit. PT says Jamal Adams' tackling technique on that play was terrible. They teach you not to lower your head hit in the Little League football. I don't know how he thought it was okay as a professional. Definitely the head got down there a little bit. I'll see if this adds up to you, PT, as far as what I think a little bit of the reasoning goes. Jamal tends to be a pretty good tackler overall in his technique. I think what's happening there is you have a guy that hasn't played in a professional game in well over a year. And if it's even before that, when he played in the professional game, he played one quarter. So it's been even, 7 months, it's almost, a good, 19, 20 months since he's been out on a live football field, rolling full, hitting guys out for a full game. Maybe his strike point and his accuracy point and just kind of the flow of the game, he's not quite up to speed on that. And it's hard to replicate on a practice field when you're not in pads and when you're not able to really go full go as a tackler. Maybe it's a bit of an excuse, but it does feel a little bit like maybe that's a part of that kind of play and why that happens like that. Jason Tudor says, Walker dances too much for my liking. It could be a fair criticism. Be interesting to see Jason where he's at on the PFF standard of things. They tend to ding him pretty heavy when he does dance too much. So we'll see where he lands with it. I don't know if there's been a lot of holes there for him early on this year and some of his reasoning for dancing. And some of this I think there's some big plays to be had when he does it. And that in getting some of those big plays, there's going to be times where maybe he does a dance where it's like, shouldn't have danced, just take what's there a little bit. But I'll say this, Jason, in watching all of the All-22 and watching and studying the tape this year as closely as I ever have, watching him multiple times over, I don't see a lot of times where I'm seeing Walker on tape, especially from the end zone shots that really give you the tail and what he's seeing. If he's missing a hole or missing a read or missing a cut. And him and Charbonnet have both basically taken what's kind of there to go get. And a lot of times the initial hole is getting closed up. And Jason, I agree with you. I think DK has been really, really good this year too. Zach Charbonnet should be more the red zone guy, A1. Yeah. He's built to do that a little bit more. I thought they were going to utilize him more like that. They've been a little odd in the red zone this year to start off. PT says, do you think if Geno had knee pads over his knee that the injury would have been as bad? Not if it was over the knee. But I would offer PT, go show me a quarterback in this league right now that plays with it over his knees. I think a lot of quarterbacks play without the knee pads. it's, most players don't really play. Like, even if they've got the knee pads, the pads are above the knee if you look at where they're at on the body, which is not really in a protective place. So it's been something the players have just kind of dispensed with, I guess. Thomas Charter says, dang, still going, almost 2:30 a.m. here in Omaha. We go hard over here on the Hawks Nest, man, especially after a dub. Ivar says, love me some DK, but he seems to lose control of his emotions sometimes. It does happen from time to time. It's happened a couple times this year, but overall, he's definitely a benefit to the team and helpful to us winning football games. That is for sure. Arsum says, the Spoonisher. Let's throw it on. Like the Punisher, but the Spoonisher. I'll add it to the list. Spoonman, Big Spoon, Swiss Army Spoon, Monsoon Spoon, Legion of Spoon, Dirty Devin, Harpoon Spoon, Wither Boom, Devastator, The Hitman, Spoonami, Wizard Spoon, Bone Shiver Spoon, and then the Spoon, it's a mouthful, the Spoonisher, the Spoonisher, the Spoonisher. Megan says, all I can't wait to say hi to Pumpkin. We got to do that this week, Megan. I keep forgetting to get set up. We got to do it here. Simranjit says, Mafe, Draymond Jones, Uchenna, unsung heroes. That defensive line was amazing tonight. Well said, Sim. Well said. Let me add in Mario Edwards Jr. in there too, into that mix. But Mafe, absolutely all over the place in this game. A lot of pressures it seemed like he caused. I'll be interested to see where his pressures are coming out of this game, because it just seemed like he was just in that backfield a lot. He only had one quarterback hit, but he was active and in on it. And Draymond Jones had his best game for the Hawks by far in this game, I think, Sim. And Uchenna gets his first 2 sacks of the year, which is good because he's been playing some really good ball for the Hawks. He's been one of the higher graded PFF defenders for your Seahawks here to begin things. Just not able to quite crack through on the sack department to begin things, but that will come for him with time, I believe. And good to see Uchenna get those 2 sacks in this game and get on his way a little bit. But they were amazing is a great way to put it, Sim. They were amazing. Set a record, Seahawk record with 11 sacks. 50 years of a franchise. You've only done this one other time. Mighty impressive. A1 says, I can't tell if the defensive line was good or their O-line is horrible. I think it's a combination of a bit of both. I think it's it's a combination of both. Maybe purely as a 50-50 thing. Matthew Phillips says, I think Spoon works just fine, at least for us, the Tick fans. Tick, that's an underrated show a couple years ago, Matthew. I kind of dug that show. And it's kind of just an unusual superhero show they did. Not that I know the cartoon is the one that gets a lot of people on board with it, but Spoon's probably going to be the one that sits, no matter whatever nickname we do land on. That one's going to come into play too. Ivor says, I normally hate getting an early bye, but the Hawks could use it this year. This is perfectly timed this year. And the thing I will say about the later bye that's happened to us a couple times, Ivor, is doesn't it feel like we've had a couple of times in the seasons where we've come up to the bye and we've had the end of the year bye and the team was just getting hot at the time of the bye, and then it sort of disrupted the momentum a little bit. Maybe that's the way this could work in our favor a little bit on the other side of it. Thomas says the head coaching throwing clipboards shows dysfunction. Not a good look at all. A horrible look, Thomas. Horrible look. And then he had multiple outbursts in just one game with Daniel on the sidelines there. Coaches know this. You can light the guy up behind closed doors. You don't have to make it a production of it. And that's what Daboll did tonight. And you gave the media a bunch of little cut-ups they can use now to make it look even worse for the foreseeable week to come. And you just, you're emotional. Everybody's emotional. But I don't get quite Daboll going so hard at Jones. And some of it's probably a built-up frustration for over the course of this year and what's happened throughout the season. But he's dealing with what the Hawks offense is dealing with a little bit too. It's like your line is completely beat to hell. It's hard to be functional at that point in time. Any team in the NFL, in my opinion. King Bomber Charles Cross, best tackle in the 2022 NFL draft class? Maybe, yeah. And maybe Abraham Lucas, number 2 King Bomber. Holy hell, that's worked out. It has worked out. It's worked out well. Zach Mule has been a member of the Hawks Nest for 17 long months. Zach, I hope you do know that I appreciate that long-time support here on the channel. Hawks win, he says. Plus, my fantasy team won. It's a good week. Real good week. Congratulations, Zach, on the fantasy win. I think I fell a little bit short this week myself. But good for you on that, man. Well done on your part. Congrats. And it's good when your fantasy wins and your real team wins. That's a double win. Double win. King Bomber, you're saying generational talent with Charles Cross, huh? Woo. Drunk says, real question, what's the outlook on the Seahawks versus the Bengals? I need some time to look at this matchup a little bit closer, Drunk. And I need to take a little bit more of a closer look at the defense of the Bengals. We can understand why the offensive struggles have been there for Cincinnati so far to begin things, but that's the part that I want to look at is that defense. It's been a good to great defense, close to a great defense here in recent years. Not great, but good, solid. There's a lot of problems that we got to deal with. Some of this is also on how healthy we're going to get when we come out of the other side of this, who all does return at that point. But I think it's a tighter game now in how I look at it minimum than when I looked at it this offseason. And I think they're still a very good team, like you say, Drunk. They got Jamar, they got Joe Burrow still. It does sound like T. Higgins is going to play in the game. And that defense has got some real good personnel out there. Ivor, the Bengals game's on the road at 10 a.m. Got a 10 a.m. contest out there on that one. Daniel Bailey says Anthony Bradford's built Ford tough. Anthony Bradford, Ford tough. Indeed he is, man. Indeed he is. He's got some horsepower. Alexander, the Giants' offense is extremely dysfunctional. I think they made our defense look a little better than it really is, but 11 sacks, can't overlook that. Can't overlook it, man. It's never happened in your history of your team but one time. You know, and that's, I think that should be telling. There's a lot of times you face teams throughout the history of your franchise, defensively speaking, where you faced porous lines, where you faced lines that were susceptible to getting attacked, and you didn't do as much damage as you did tonight. Certainly the Giants' offense is dysfunctional. Certainly they had those backups in there, but you know, you got to see as well, I think, on the other side of it, Alexander, what it looks like with a team that finds some answers. I mean, we're on the road, right, with 5/5 of our starting offensive line rejiggered and how it's set up. I think that it does speak to a little bit of how they made that happen, though, too. You know, they brought that to that Giants team. You know, it was our defense being willing to dial up the blitzes and the pressure packages. 2 sacks from Bobby, 2 sacks from Devin Witherspoon, 2 sacks from Jordan Brooks. You know, those aren't coming from guys on the front four get it done. That's you dialing up those pressures to make it happen. But it is also part of it, too, being the Giants' offensive line's bad. That's also as well. King Bomber, Tariq versus Chase, Witherspoon versus Higgins. Interesting the way that maybe the King Bomber, the Bengals will set up on how they align those guys. And also going to be interesting to see how they utilize Witherspoon in that game. Is he going to be a slot? Is he going to be outside? Ivor says, got to get after Burrows and make him use that strained calf. 100%. Get him under duress. Make him move. Make him throw and move. Test that calf out. Give it the stress test. Seahawks Gaming, Dave Canales, our former quarterback coach, has Baker Mayfield playing better than Tom Brady last year. Yeah. He's playing good football. I'll give him credit. I won't put any like and buts, but you know, he's playing good football. A1 says Burrow has a bad O-line too, so that's good. I think the Giants have a better defense than the Bengals. Oh no, I'd give the Bengals a better defense, man. DJ Reader, Pratt. I think I'd give it to the Bengals a little bit more. It's a boy, bruh. Is live this late. Left my ass off. Man, I'm just bathing in the beauty of victory, man. That's all I'm doing out here. Bathing in the victory of beauty. JL says right now it seems like the Hawks have a good blend of veterans and young guys. We do. We are a young team overall, JL. I think we're the third youngest team in football right now, but you also have some elder statesmen in there to help guide those young cats through the forest. You got some Gandalfs. Drunk, I think that's the game D. Eskridge comes back versus the Bengals. It's supposed to be 6-week suspension. So that would still give him another week here, Drunk. King Bomber underrated player, but Julian Love has probably been the most improved from week 1 to now. Yeah, he's had a couple of real rough performances. Last week was maybe a little more encouraging. This week was really encouraging. He played good football today, King. He played a lot more in line with how he played last year with New York in this game. Well said. He was good. He was fun. He was impressive tonight. Drunk says Drew Lock looked okay. Seemed like his ball was always blocked by the defensive lineman. He was okay. There was a lot of knockdowns today in this game between Drew and Gino. Linemen for the Giants were being active, maybe partly because they could not get home. But he looked okay. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. DJ wouldn't take Cincinnati lightly. They also have Sidney Jones on their practice squad. They can pick his brain for our schemes. True enough. And I'm not taking them lightly, that's for sure, DJ. I think they're a good team. They've been a really good team in that AFC, tough AFC over the last couple of years. Drunk, if the Giants had Barkley, maybe they would have scored a touchdown. Probably would have made their offense better. Gar says, Brando, Megan was right about Spoon versus Carter because this one game will encompass a career. What was her scouting report on GSN? I think she liked GSN. I think she was on JSN pretty good. She really liked Spoon though. Spoon was high, and it's more games than that too, Garth. It's also how he's played so far up until this point. And he's played stellar to begin things. He's fine. He didn't play perfect that Detroit game, but you felt his impact, you felt his presence, and it's built to this game through these first 3 games. It was like started out good, got even a little bit better, and this was great. Hopefully he can just keep building beyond that. Megan says, everyone was upset with the early bye, and I was one of them, but now it seems like a blessing in disguise. And that's for sure. That's for sure, Megan. Perfectly timed this year. Fallen Delta, if the defense can play like this, we are a serious, deep playoff contender. Well said, Fallen. I feel like for me, the formula coming into the season, and it still feels resolutely in this spot, is you get this defense from the back end of things where it's been at times too often in recent years. Get them to middle of the road. Maybe they're even flirting into kind of a top 10-ish state if they can get to that area. I may be dreaming big, but that's maybe where they can develop to once they get all hands on deck and everybody returns back, as many as you can get back in the health side of things. Offense performs at a top 5 rate. Special teams performs at a top 3 rate. That's a team that can be a playoff contender, like you say. That's a team that can make a deep playoff run. And it's got to come together in that way. But we're seeing the steps going to that direction of things a little bit. And it's damn encouraging. Drunk says the test for this defense of the 49ers, Bengals, and Eagles, if they can do decent there, 10 times better from last year. There's some toughs coming. There's some tough tests coming down the line, Drunk. Eagles, Niners, Bengals. I throw even maybe the Cowboys into that mix. Megan says we gave up trying to understand Jamal's injuries years ago. That's right, Megan. Ryan in the Cat says they're my beats I made, so you're fine to use them. Perfect, man. Awesome, man. I could just get, my worry is that you get those copy strikes, Camden McLaurin says Walker's butt was down. I will take your word for it, Camden. I definitely saw it in passing and was trying to watch it as close as I could, but we're doing the stream and the play-by-play, and I can't, do the kind of a pause, slow down like I'd love to. Fallen Delta question, is this defense going to be the same as last year where we had 5 games where we were great, but then lost most of the momentum? I don't believe it's going to be the case, Fallen Delta. My reasoning would be this. The 4 games that you had last year and your success defensively came with 2 of those games being against a Cardinals offense that was pretty much in a non-functional state last year. 1 against the Giants offense, which as we saw today was not exactly a juggernaut you were going up against. And then the other one was against the Chargers offense that was down Keenan Allen, that was down Mike Williams through the course of that game. And I think they would lost their left tackle. They weren't at a full strength offense like they normally are. They weren't at their most vibrant state. Defense played good in that game. Maybe as impressive game for the competition, that game that you dealt with throughout the year. But what I'm trying to say is that 4-game stretch, you didn't do anything really defensively differently. You were just playing against the least of the competition you played against that year offensively. And so it was really just a flash in the pan, sample size, more of you getting those teams in the right moments in the right states. This game right now, and the way you built off the back of last week and your pressure rates being increased and your ability to get to the quarterback last week and them not able to be quite as efficient and effective in throwing the football as some of the other quarterbacks have been up into this point, is it took all of those attempts for Dalton to throw for the yards that he did throw for. Where the difference comes into place is here, Fall and Delta, that even though early on you had the passing attack giving up the yards on the back end of the secondary, they were still stopping the run. That has been a consistent point for this defense through the first 4 games of this season in every single game and just about every single quarter. That's something that wasn't there for you last year really at all. Maybe those 4 games kind of there to a degree. You did good against Barkley. You did good against those, but in the Cardinals and Chargers, you have 2 teams that aren't really committed to running the ball super effectively. That part's been here already. Now we see this pressure rate start to go up over the past couple of weeks where it starts to look like they're going to be willing to dial up a little bit more of the pressure-based looks, which was something they never went to last year, even in that strong 4-game stretch. So now we've got something tangible as a change in strategy, which might impel us to believe that there's a little bit more room for this to now continue to grow and continue to get better and find a different avenue for success that wasn't there last year. Last year, you just stayed in the soft zone coverages. Once Jamal went out, you tossed out all of the blitz stuff, and you were going to run those front four pressure looks up for the majority of the time. Maybe we have a change this year. So I have a lot more encouragement this year off of the defensive performance for those reasons than in prior years fallen. Seahawks Gaming, how much of Devin Witherspoon's pick was influenced by Deebo Samuel and he wanted a sure tackler? I think they just fell in love with him. I don't think it was for him having a direct impact on certain players. They might have thought of it that way, but I just think the way that in talking to guys that I know, former players, and then hearing how former players talked about Devin Witherspoon, there's just a feeling out there. There's just something special about the kid that caught their eye. Just caught their eye in that way, and that you don't hear players talked about like this in that way often. Coach Carroll referencing him like Troy Polamalu. Just there's something about him with it. But I don't think that was necessarily directly influenced into, we got to be able to tackle Deebo. We got to be able to tackle Cooper Kupp. Might have been. I just don't think. I don't think they were doing the math quite in that way. Drunk says, still can't believe the Niners traded Trey Lance. What a waste. Could also be the biggest bust in NFL history. Purdy's a good game manager for them and knows the offense more than Lance overall. Better fit. He's executing the offense sublimely for them right now. Can't deny that. And Purdy has continued to put up really good performances and looked really good against the Cardinals again last week. It's funny again to watching that game against the Cardinals. They're dropping a lot of the soft zone looks in that game, and then they finally dial up the pressures, and it gets pretty uncomfortable. You just kind of keep coming back that time and time again. But that trade's going to loom large over their franchise in the foreseeable future, especially if we come to find that Purdy can't hold up physically, being that he is a bit of a slight guy. Megan says, was just congratulated on the win by a Lions fan B. Laughing out loud. Tim is one of the good ones. Simram says, sir, please comment on the D-line who played solid. You might have missed a comment on there, Sim. I did reference that. I tried to go all the way down the offensive line and defensive line for you. So do go back a little bit on the stream because I did give a real expanded answer on your question there. The defensive line, if you want to play solid, it'd be probably easier for me to tell you who didn't play solid than who did play solid. I think that Uchenna, great. He's played really good football for you up until this point throughout this year already, even though he hasn't gotten sacks or a lot of production in that way. He's still been really good for you. You just finally got on the board with the sacks. Mario Edwards Jr., Jaron Reed have been excellent value signings for you. They have far surpassed the level of production you thought you were going to get from these guys when you signed them. And certainly in the case of Mario Edwards Jr., he's given you some actual pass rush in addition to being a solid run stuffer. Draymond Jones gave you his best game overall, both as a run defender and in this pass rush. He was, I think, pretty impressive all the way throughout the course of this game. Boye Mafe seemed like he was kind of living in the backfield at times in this game. Derek Hall created a great pass rush on a stunt where he came back across the line and was able to hit Daniel Jones and cause an interception with Quandre Diggs. Everybody kind of got their turn to go out there and make a play. Even Miles Adams went out there and got a sack and has looked, pretty okay this year. He's had some close pressure points, but able to get a sack out there, which was awesome to see. Cameron Young, your young fourth rounder, almost had himself a sack in this game on just kind of got the quarterback in his hands, and the quarterback able to kind of fall forward for a yard, but he was right there. It's kind of go down the line. I mean, Darrell Taylor was the only one that was somewhat kind of quiet there on that line of the rest of the guys that came through, but everyone kind of took their chance, man. And Sam, I was impressed. Uchenna and Boye Mafe are really nice edges to have on this team right now at the front end of things. Both those guys are wreaking the kind of havoc you would hope off of each edge, and both very complete players as edges as well. They can play the run and they can play the pass. Thank you, though. Again, do that $2.79 donation back there, Sam. I appreciate you. Drunk says, PI Merchant Sauce got flagged again last night. Plays with holding, not the ball. Yeah, he's holding, and the officials just finally decided to call it at the time at the end of the game where they were going to call it, and then he gets mad about it. But you're not been calling it. And it's funny, too, is if you hear the Jets fans talk about it or even Sauce talk about it, it's like, yeah, but you weren't calling it through the game. Why are you going to call it right now? It's like, it's not a matter of whether or not it's actually a PI. It's a PI by the letter of the law. It's obviously a PI by the letter of the law. But it's this whole, well, you don't call it through the game now. You're just going to call it now. I mean, I don't know, how about you play within the context of the rules, buddy? Yeah. Fallen Delta, we have a long stretch of games after the bye week, but the Hawks looking bright with Pete looking hyped. Well said, Fallen. Agreed. Very much agreed. Daniel, I'm glad the pick six happened on Monday Night Football. Going to be harder to rob him for the defensive rookie of the year like they did Woolen. Agreed, man. This is a big, bright, beautiful display of what Witherspoon brings to play, and the nation got a good, crystal clear view of it. Random the Cut, Walker dances, yes, but he often makes something out of nothing. I agree. If I've got to take the occasional play where he turned down a 4-yard gain for a 1-yard gain because he bounced it outside in the name of knowing there's going to be a couple times in this game he's going to bounce that outside and bust it off for 25, 30 yards, maybe more, I'll do that price of doing business kind of call to that one. Grandizer at Seahawks, Brandon Kane, congrats on the win and happy Halloween month. Happy Halloween month, Grandizer. Thank you for the congrats on the win. Feels good. Feels like our team is setting the stage well for this upcoming year in a nice way, and we're feeling good about it. Real good about it. Few more Seahawks. Thanks for going to tell 1 in the morning. Appreciate you, the Seahawks content. My pleasure, man. I love chatting up with you folks, and man, it feels good tonight. We're all in a just great headspace. I love it. Megan says, given how badly Burrow is playing at the moment, B, how do you feel about our chances in Cincy? Kind of just hard to say, Megan, because even where he's at health-wise now, is he improved in 2 weeks? Does him playing over these past couple of weeks instead of going on the IR prolong the injury, as you would think? And I'm sure you would attest to believing that that'd probably be the case. But I'm not sure. It's a bit of a guess. He is certainly not playing right now like I've referenced it. He looks like 82% of Joe Burrow right now. And he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of arm strength to begin with. He leans on anticipatory throws and, really, throwing the ball before the receiver comes out of his break. And if he starts to lose a little bit of velocity because he can't throw with the full arm strength, he kind of doesn't have that arm strength to lose in that way. Much like he doesn't really have he can move a little bit for not necessarily being viewed as a mobile quarterback, but he's also then now a guy that's been robbed of some of his mobility from this. So it's like you got to pay the price kind of twice on this one if you're Burrow. He is certainly diminished right now, Megan, and if he's going to play us in the state he's in right now, I think we win that game. But I guess I'm thinking a little bit that he's going to be a little bit better. That the Bengals within this have thought that the thing's not going to get worse and that it'll just slowly improve with time. But if he's at 100%, it's going to be, or near 100%, it's going to be a tough game. Daniel says, I think Leonard Williams really loves Seattle and wants to come here. Hence him not letting his hand off of Anthony Bradford's face earlier. It adds up. It tracks. Drunk says, I love these late night streams. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I love doing them. Love doing them, man. Ivor says it was nice seeing Diggs get another pick. Dude's a stud. Dude is a stud. Good to see him get one taken already, get that going. I think he's still alive, maintain. I think that when this season's all said and done, Quandre Diggs is going to end up with more interceptions than he's had in his career in a season here in Seattle or throughout his career in Detroit. It's just my feel for it. Sam says, thanks, sir. My pleasure, Sam. And thank you for that dono, brother. He says, I think this defense is going to be amazing with Reek, Woolen, Diggs in the back end. I hope Jamal gets healthy with that concussion. It's a defense that's got a lot of parts to it, a lot of nice parts that can work really well together. And the hope for me, Sim, here is that you have more of an opening to run some more man-based concepts, some more pressure-based looks, because you got the Reek who can run man. You got the Witherspoon who can run man. You got Jamal Adams who can run man-based concepts on backs or tight ends. Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks, two top-end blitzers from the linebacker position. You know, you stack this group up in a unique way that you haven't had at your disposal at any time in Coach Carroll's entire time here. And if they can utilize that talent in this very precise fashion, pressure packages, a little more blitzing, man-based coverage schemes on the back end, I think you can indeed find this defense rounding out into really nice shape, Sim. And I will be giving the coaching staff big time props if they show the willingness to embrace that change, because it will be a major sea change from where this defense has operated from a schematic standpoint going on 10 straight seasons. Kirk Bernard, are we glad we kept Fant? Very glad, man. Very, very, very glad. I think you're always going to commit to, even if you moved on from Fant, to getting a third tight end in here, but he is showing his value. Johnny Utah, Fant is making 2 first downs a game and blocking well. What more can we ask for him? I'm good with it. Ivor says, I agree about GSN. Can't wait for his breakout game. It's coming, Ivar. It'll come. Just a matter of time. Just got to be patient. Sim, is this bye week working towards against the Hawks? I think it's the right timing. It's, I think, just ideal timing, Sim. Normally, you don't want it to be early like this. You're down going through this game right now. At the end of this game, you have 5 new offensive starters versus what you started out at the beginning of the year. And that's just your offensive line. That's not with Jamal back, and Tariq, no doubt, would be benefiting from another week at letting that shoulder quiet down. You've got Jaron Reed with a groin issue. You're getting back McIntosh. This is a good time for the bye. Great time for the bye. Austin, sorry if you already answered it, but any updates on Jamal? I don't have any updates necessarily, Austin, though I do believe that this is going to be a pretty succinct way where if this was a matter of we having a game this next Sunday and it being a short week, likely he wouldn't probably be playing. But to give him 2 weeks now with the concussion protocols, I think you're likely to see him back for the Bengal game. Mr. Round Eye says, wouldn't that be compel? Something got left out there, Mr. Round Eye. I'm sorry, man. Thomas, I'm thinking in the offseason when Bears give up on Fields and take Caleb number 1 overall, the Hawks should offer a 4th or 5th rounder for Fields. Yeah, Thomas. 100%, man. I'm with it. You do have Drew Lock only on a 1-year deal. I do wonder a little bit, Thomas, in this, though, if Fields is maybe going to want to be moved to a team where he gets an opportunity to truly start. But I'd be open to it. Ivor says, bedtime. Thanks for the stream. Great as always. Good night, chat. See you in a couple weeks. Sounds good, brother. Sounds real good. I love your thought, Thomas, though. Kind of was thinking about that a little bit too. But that might be the key. I think there might be a team that thinks the Bears mucked this up so much, we'll get this right with the kid. He'll be ideal for us in our scheme. Joe says, Pete says, Jaron Reed's got a bruised shin. Should be good after the bye. That's good to hear. That can be a gnarly injury. That whipped over the leg of another guy like that on the shin. Jaron's a tough sucker, man. Tough sucker. Drunk Squitter, what are your thoughts on Jordan Brooks so far? I think that he has improved. I think that it's a marginal improvement. I don't think he's heads and shoulders better. I think Drunk, he's better as a basically, it's it's hard to call it really a 3-4 inside linebacker when you're playing 4-man fronts so consistently. So he's basically playing a Will linebacker role. And I think Will is a better spot for him rather than middle linebacker because he just gets to kind of flow around, you know. He just gets to be rangy and fast and go find the football. And he doesn't have the green dot on his helmet. He doesn't have to make the line calls. I think Bobby really does relieve a lot of the pressure and stress that was there last year with Jordan Brooks and what kind of reduced down some of his play. But he's been improved as well in coverage, I'd say. I think he's taken some encouraging steps forward in that play of his game. And then he's showing you off some of the ability to blitz this year that hasn't really been a common part of his game because we've not been willing to blitz in recent years. And that part has been very impressive to me too as well, Drunk. Because I didn't know that was a part of his game. Didn't do it a lot at college and certainly hasn't done a lot as a pro. But he's been efficient with his chances. Efficient. Spectre7, thank you for the $5 donation. I do really appreciate that so very much. You guys have been unbelievable tonight on the donos, just sensational. It says, my Bengals may not be doing well, but boy, most of my sports hate is going well, especially the Jets and Broncos. Many smack talks were received. Yeah, it's looking like a bummer for both those franchises right now. Both went out for the aging vet quarterback that they hoped could solve everything for them. And, instead they've not gotten this Matt Stafford returns on either of those. And boy, Jets season and where it's looking like it's going and how dark it's getting for them. And, Broncos at least able to salvage a little something, barely squeaking out past the Bears. But, yeah, Bengals will be fine, I think, when it's all said and done. They're maybe not going to be a team to be competing for a bye or anything like that, but I can't feel like if they're going to keep playing Burrow, I feel like the Bengals are kind of telling us that the thing's going to get better here eventually, like that it will heal, that it can heal even while he's playing on it. Otherwise, this looks like an absolute insane decision by the Bengals, especially knowing that sometimes those ankle injuries can end up leading, those calf injuries can end up leading to torn Achilles. Happened before. Jeffrey says, when Jamal went down, I almost cried. I want to see him do good this year. He deserves it. Me too, Jeffrey. I got nothing but love for the guy, and I just feel my heart goes out to him, and I love his skill set. He's my brother's favorite player. My brother was like over the moon when he learned that Jamal was coming to the team, and I just want to see him almost do good just for that part of it. But the guy's been a great teammate here. It's not his fault that this stuff's gone like it has. It ain't because he's not in condition or shape or doing all he can. It's just been some wild ass bad luck. Ski Nation, what's up, y'all? Got here late, couldn't be here today. I'm going to just start at the top of the stream. Go Hawks. Go Hawks. Ski Nation, appreciate you, brother. Do want to let you guys know, too, just as we're kind of wrapping up here, a couple of things I want to put down on here for you guys. You'll notice I've got pinned up in the description of the link the video wrap-up to this game. You've got to go into the Bleacher Report to go and click the link, as I will be doing these post-game wrap-ups throughout the month of October. So if you click the link and you download the app, it'll take you directly to the video if you've got the app downloaded. But Bleacher Report's been kind enough to extend out this offer to me to go over on their side and be able to do these post-game streams over there, little half-hour streams in and out. We went a little longer today. I think we almost went an hour over there because we had a lot in the chat. But please do go over there and check that stream out if you get a chance to. I'd love to show them our people kind of going over there to the stream and showing the watch counter that we're showing the love on that. We're watching those streams and stuff because I would love for that to continue into the future. But you can click that link right there here at the top of this stream, pinned up there if you got the app downloaded. And I think we had a nice stream over there. Good turnout. You can even go and watch it. We had a lot of Giants fans in there too, talking noise. So you can see some of the Giants fans and their feelings a little bit over there on that side of it. Jeffrey O'Kelly, could Lucas come back after the bye week? It's been 4 weeks since he's been on IR. I think it's 1 more week because you don't count the first week. So technically it's only been 3. Does he get the bye? No, I think maybe he does get the bye. No, you're right. The bye counts. Not about 4 games missed. I think it's just 4 weeks missed. So yes, he does come back. Sorry. I was mental farting that one. Mental farting. A1 Matrix, what do you think Witherspoon's PFF grade will be now? Oh, geez. He'll be about 75 for the season. He did have a completion in this game, too, over the top. He had a couple completions. He's going to get plus mark. He'll get like an 89, 90 grade on the day, but he'll be about 75 overall, I would think, for the year. Somewhere in there. Ian C. is checking in from Poland. He says, good morning from Poland. What a game. Man, I am so happy. We got a juicy bye this week. Wonderfully put, Ian. And hey, man, good to see my peeps checking in from Poland. Hope you're having a good day out there, and I love that. I don't know if we've had you probably popped in here before, but I don't know if you've mentioned you're from Poland. That's always cool. I love, Ian, that the Hawks Nest is worldwide, man. It makes me happy. It certainly does. And it was a fun game. It was a little bit of a wild game through that first half with some of the swings and some of the action that was going on and the emotions and Jamal going out and Witherspoon looking so strong, the pass rush step into play and then being down 5 offensive linemen and then down your quarterback and then your quarterback coming back. It was a wild affair. That's part of what you love about football, though, is you can see a little bit of everything in games sometimes. It's kind of like that in this game today. But overall, awesome victory. And you're absolutely right. Getting the bye now, having this time now to rest, the respite, to get this back, turned around at this time. It's coming at a perfect, ideal time right now to get our guys maybe at our fullest health, maybe at our healthiest, coming on the other end of this bye. Mr. Round Eye, great dub. Thank you, Mr. Round Eye. It was indeed. Logged on to YouTube just to see your reaction to the pick 6. Spoon is the man. Hoping for Jamal's successful integration back into the defense. Blistering from Fukuoka, Japan. I'm just going to say from Japan, Mr. Round Eye, because that one's a twister, especially about 6, 7, 8, 9 hours in the stream as we are right now. I know not on this stream, but collectively. Yeah, I was stoked by that 6. I was getting worried at that point. They go and score that touchdown there, Mr. Round Eye. You're within 4 points of the Giants. Maybe changes the trajectory of this game. Huge play, huge game-changing, turning play in that moment by Witherspoon. Absolutely awesome to see. I think Jamal's going to get successfully integrated into this. I think a big key to that, Mr. Round Eye, is seeing how much they're willing to blitz in this game with his return. And I've long thought that that's going to be what you're going to get with his return is a lot more of the dialing up the blitz game in much more of a fashion than when he's not in the lineup. And so I think the coaching staff has a plan for him. I think we got a taste of that plan tonight. But it's coming, and he's going to help this secondary. And this team seems to be driven in a lot of ways at times by the secondary and how they built it and how it's structured. And the defensive line did its part too today. It all worked together well. Hell, even the linebackers did their part. But it's coming together, man. It's coming together, Mr. Round Eye. And how about that? We got one end of the globe at Poland, one end of the globe out there at Japan. I'm telling you, folks, Hawks Nest is worldwide. And I appreciate our family of Hawks Nesters out there, wherever you may be. Poland, Japan, Australia, Egypt, Germany. Don't matter. We're all one family. We're all one voice. We're all part of the 12s. I hope you all do know out there. It's great to see you in here, though. Even more Seahawks, we averaged 2.2 yards per run by running backs by our defense. Let's go. They've been incredible. It's an incredible turnaround this year, dialing down the run as they have. Last year, it looked like at times you couldn't stop anybody, no way, no how. You had no answers at all. And this year, you're one of the best run-stuffing units in the entire National Football League. A tremendous turnaround. Fantastic. Brandon Moody. Hey, Brandon, going to be putting out analysis B. Nelson this week in his own on Win this week. Looking forward to him. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'll be doing the B&B show today, actually. Technically, now that we're into Tuesday here. So we'll be doing that at 7 o'clock tonight. We're doing the B&B show for show. For show. Nick Craig, thank you for the $5 donation. I do appreciate you for that, Nick. He says 2 stat lines for you. 8 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1.5 sacks, 23 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. I think you can guess the players and why I won't use the names. I can definitely indeed guess the players you're talking about. So one player, 8 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1.5 sacks. The other player, 23 tackles, so almost 3 times the tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and 1 tutty. And Nick, I had a great amount of glee when I got to announce after I realized that the scorekeeper did indeed give Witherspoon credit for 2 sacks. I had wonderful amount of glee in my heart to be able to announce the fact that Witherspoon had more, even if by a half a sack, more sacks through 4 weeks than one Mr. Jalen Carter. I definitely liked that. I'm going to enjoy that stat for the next week. That is for sure. Ski Nation says, I say we call him Tablespoon. Little Spoon, Teaspoon. We got a couple. Ski Nation, here's the names on the board right now we're going to vote on Wednesday. We got, here's your options. You got Spoonman, Big Spoon, Swiss Army Spoon, Monsoon Spoon, Legion of Spoon, Dirty Devin, Harpoon Spoon, Winter Boom, Devastator, The Hitman, Spoon Nami, Wizard Spoon, Bone Shiver Spoon, and Spoonifer, like Punisher, but Spoonifer. I can't say it this hour. This late hour, I can't say it. Megan says, the Bengals playing Burrow continually reeks of desperation to me, B. Thoughts? I'm getting the same kind of inclinations as well, Megan. I can't quite get to the full phase of doing it because I just can't think of them being that stupid after they just signed into a contract, and that's that major contract, and this is your future, this is your face of the franchise, this is the guy you would think that they would want to protect. But this is also still the Bengals. And there's a reason that their nickname is known as the Bungles. Followed closely by the Bung Holes. And this is why, because they'll sometimes bungle up a situation. And I hope they're not here. I hope it's that it's Burrow making the call with an educated decision. The doctors don't think it could get more serious on him. I hope it's that. But you do wonder, Megan. You do wonder. Brandon Moody says the Devastator Winterspoon. The Devastator Witherspoon. Winterspoon. It's not bad. Sim says, thanks, bro. Let's go Hawks. Rest a week and let's get back. Let's do it. Let's do it. Megan says, have the Jamal Funko on the shelf next to Largent, Megan. Give that head a little tap right now, Megan. Give that little Funko head a little love tap. Glenn Carroll, I've been firmly in the should have taken Carter camp. Witherspoon looks like a great pick at 5 overall. Can't really argue anymore. Hey, good on you, Glenn. People like to die in their trenches of their beliefs without ever wanting to change off of it because they think it's some weakness if they happen to change from a general feeling or belief, or that they don't happen to. But I think that it's more impressive with a person like yourself that takes on new information and allows that to continually guide them as they update. We want to get it right. We don't want to be right. We want to try to be right. That's what we're aspiring to, all of us, in our outlook on teams and the league and players. But you want to be right at the end of the day. And I think it's kudos to you on that and in adjusting that way to say, hey, well, the kid is legit. I can't deny it. And I think Glenn, he put it out there and stamped it pretty strongly today. And it's going to be pretty hard to deny it going forward with how he did play in this game and how he has played up until this point. He's showing you why. He's showing you why, like you say, 5th overall pick, it makes sense. And you know me, I'm with you, man, Glenn. I love Carter as much as anyone. But Witherspoon's tape and the amount of people I've talked to about it that I trust in about on Football Matters, just beyond what I saw from the tape, had me thinking this kid was going to be a really good player for us. Timothy Settle, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Sorry, a little late in noticing and acknowledging you on that, but thank you for doing that. I appreciate you jumping aboard. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers this year. Well on the road here. You can help us get there by subscribing up today if you aren't already. But thank you. Yo. Going to Cowboys Chargers in 2 weeks. Going to be repping my Hawks jersey, though. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Could be a little dangerous with it, huh? I'm guessing you're going to be going, is that a game in LA rather than Dallas? But good for you, man. Let's go. Hawks are here. We're everywhere. Even when stadiums we're not playing in. Deal with that. Megan says, you think you were pleased about Spoon's sack count, B? How do you think I felt? No, I'm sure you were laughing your ass off, as you should. Joe says, fun fact, Polish people like to eat sandwiches for breakfast. I don't know why I know that. Seems like every kind of country out there has some kind of weird food picadillo. Like how Spain's got like their weird fascination with meats and cheeses. He's going to a bar and there's just meat and cheeses hanging. Yo. We could have easily gotten 15 to 20 sacks if he didn't miss tackles and Daniel Jones wasn't escaping the pocket so easily. Yeah, you had a couple you left on the board. Agreed. Yo. I think Daniel Jones is a hard guy to bring down, and he's slippery. He just is. But you had him a couple times where you could have taken a few more, that's for sure. Thomas Charter says the spork. Sim says, last question. No worries, man. Ask away as many as you like. JSN shall be involved more or wait till the offensive line's healthy? I think he's been mainly there's a couple reasons that this has been impacted, I think, here. And his production early on. I do think at the full head of this, though, standing at the forefront of this, is the fact that he is not on the field as much because of the prevalence of 2 and 3 tight end sets. And when you get back your starting tackles especially, and you don't have to provide them as many protections, you're going to have an opportunity to provide more of an opportunity for JSN to get up the football field and go make something happen. That's my guess. I think this kid's too good not to eventually find some production on the field. It's just they're trying to find who he is. I think he's also not necessarily the pure fit to the offense, and not that it's going to hold him back from being a good player for us, but the slot guy tends to be like a Cooper Kupp guy in this offense with McVay, or what you do, Puka. You're going to get the ball in their hands at times. You're going to run those bubble screens at times. That's not as much of his game, but they'll find the way to use him. They'll find the way to work him here when it's all said and done. Spaces, if we were doing crappy, it would be a different story. Yeah. If more of the games were like game one, it'd be, look out. Look the hell out. Daniel W. Andy Dickerson needs some credit. What our O-line is doing right now should not be disregarded. Amen, Daniel. Andy Dickerson has been very, very impressive with what he's brought to the table. I can't even begin to start to give that guy credit. He got 2 rookie tackles starting last year, and he had them playing good football. No NFL teams even trusted to go down that road ever in recent history. Now this year, you have him with many of these games down 3/5 of his offensive line. And he's still finding a way at times with this offense to still get them productive, both in being able to generate yards on the ground and hold up in pass protection long enough for Geno and Drew Lock today to throw the ball. Yeah, very well said, Daniel. You got to give some big-time props to Andy Dickerson for the job that he's done. Big time. Yo. Bold prediction will be in the same tier of the Cowboys, Eagles, Niners before the Thanksgiving showdown versus San Francisco. I like that bold prediction. I like where your head's at, yo. I do indeed. And very well possible, man. I think we're building into that direction. We're not quite there yet, but we're heading into that way, We're heading down through that canal. David Kowalski says Sterling Spoon. Yeah, he was sterling tonight, man. He was sterling tonight. Spaces Pumpkin's ready to pounce. She is. She likes the... Oh, don't you mess with me with your green thing. I will chew this and spit this out of you. Just don't you. I'm feisty. We won and I'm feisty tonight. Nick Craig, if we get Spoon, Adams, Burrow sandwich, I will find the pick and get a t-shirt made of it. Sounds good, man. Both blitzing off the edge. Burrow looks to his right, sees Jamal Adams closing, looks to his left, sees Witherspoon closing. It's all the time that he has before he's just about to get crunched like one of those old car compactors that just squishes those cars down to little boxes. BP 1989. Bradford is indeed looking nice. BP also says, notice that Olu came in tonight. Was Evan Brown hurt, or was it a chemistry thing between him and Locke for the change? No, BP, what it was Damian Lewis got carted off in this game, and so you needed to then bump out Evan Brown to the guard and then bring in Olu as your backup center. So that's one of the nice parts about Brown is he's got positional flexibility. You wanted to do that rather than go to McClendon Curtis, who you just got onto the team. Space, I like Dallas returning kicks too. I do as well. Camden says, shout out to Steve Hutchinson scouting as well. That's right, Camden. He found that big Bradford kid, didn't he? He signed off on Olu. And I have to imagine that even a guy like Evan Brown probably was consulted on that one as well. Not to mention Steve's at the forefront on these last couple of years too. You'd think of Lucas and Cross and being brought in. Yeah. Great thoughts, guys. Yeah. Give these guys some props for sure. Stirring Spoon B. I like these. We're getting close. We're getting close. Spoon Tank, says Chicken God. Spoon Tank is pretty good. Yo, this game reminds me of the 2012 showdown versus Tom Brady, the start of something special. That indeed was kind of the kickoff, wasn't it? You're like, ooh, this team's got a little bit more than your average Hawks team. There's something a little bit more to this team. And you might be right. Kind of felt like today, maybe there's something a little bit special to this team in their makeup and how they're built and what they've got as far as the potential down the road to go meet. I love it. I hope you're right about that. Hope you're right about it. All right. Megan says, I'm a no stirrer. As you know, B, I do know. You got that. You got your own little big spoon, Megan. No small spoons on your end, right? Oh, Spoon Tang. I like Spoon Tang. That's good. That's real good. We'll get it figured out. We got the nicknames coming this week on Wednesday. We'll get it solidified down. Well, we've hit 3 hours and a half here. I think, right at the end of the road here on this. I've hit the end of the chat. I think we've had some great discussions tonight on this. Do me this favor, folks. Hit this like button if you haven't already on this channel. It helps this video out. Helps me show up on people looking for good Hawks post-game discussion talk. As well, again, just one more note on that. I will be back tomorrow on the Bleacher Report, 11 o'clock a.m. I'm going to be on the Bleacher Report doing a little bit of the state of the Seahawks kind of view of things. So if you haven't already, please do get the Bleacher Report downloaded as an app. I'll be on that throughout the month of October doing post-game streams. If you guys look right now up at the pinned comment at the top of the stream right now in the comment section, you're going to notice that there's a link to that Bleacher Report show that we did from tonight. And through that link, you can locate the channel there on Bleacher Report for my channel here, Brandon, over on that side of it. I'll be doing those breakdowns over there after every game throughout this October, maybe throughout the season, if they continue to extend it beyond that point. So do get that app downloaded. That'll be more extra content to you. Doesn't cost anything to do the app. It's free, but you do have to watch the app, download the app in order to catch the content. We have ourselves a hell of a win here tonight. Hell of a win here tonight from your Seattle Seahawks. I think that you definitely put a stamp out there to the rest of this league, to the NFC, to the Niners, to the Eagles. We're here. We're in the mix. We're not just a plucky, up-and-coming team with a bunch of young kids that aren't ready yet. We're coming together. The plan is coming together. The chemistry is coming together. The talent is seamlessly starting to intertwine in the right kinds of fashions. Things are stepping forward that had been failing points. Things are improving that had been really bad spots to start the season. It's all very much encouraging across the board. The injury situation is looking to improve mightily. And despite this injury situation, you still find yourself 3-1. You still find yourself in very much a pole position for this year to go out and make some noise, bring yourself into a contender status, maybe go out there and swing with the big dogs and take your chance with it. Take your swing and see what happens at that point. I love how the team's coming together. I love that the plans that we thought this team was going to bring into unveil, as we saw tonight with the pressure-based packages, are true and real and are happening. They're not just figments of our imagination and hope. They're true to the reality we're starting to see from this team, and I think that that's going to help to bring about a reversal in some fortunes here defensively. Maybe not elevate them into elite status or a top 5 state, but reverse some of the poor fortunes of this defense in recent memory. I thank you guys all for watching the stream here today. Let me just do a little thank you buys to the last couple comments I saw posted up. BP says, a big part of me wishes that Drew Lock would have stayed in the game. Offense looked different. He definitely got a touchdown drive that first time. I think the second time out, he got stopped a bit, but he looked good. I don't mind Gino going back out there, though, myself. And I think that we do feel pretty steady with Drew at the helm, though, to your point. I don't feel nervous with him out there. Camden McLaurin says, thanks, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you. Megan, much love right back to you, too, as well. Appreciate you. She says, stay classy, be kind, stay safe, and enjoy the bye, 12s. That's right. Enjoy this bye. Savor this win. Enjoy this. Consider where you got franchises like the Vikings or the Broncos or the Giants and where you are. JL says, great show, great win. Thank you, man. Appreciate you for watching. Megan says, I can only watch these videos and not the chat as I'm on my phone B. No worries on that, Megan. No worries. As long as you watch. Space 3 cheers. Thanks, Brandon. Thank you, Space. Appreciate you. Appreciate you very much. Megan says, we are 12s. Hear us roar. Hear us roar indeed. NFL, we're coming. You thought, oh, they're in year rebuild. They're in year 2 year of rebuild. They're the 3rd youngest team in the NFL. They can't be ready yet. They can't be ready now. Geno can't be real once again. This can't come together this fast for Coach Carroll. He's too old. They're too new into this rebuild. It shouldn't be happening like this. How is it happening like this? It's happening because you have a well-honed plan put in place, and they are executing it so far absolutely perfectly. Your Hawks are doing that. They're getting the job done. They're moving this thing in the right position, moving it forward. Be very encouraged by what you saw tonight, not just by the result, but by how you got to the result. By how you got to the result, held back by factors like, for instance, all of your starting offensive line out, basically, moved to a different position from where they started. And that definitely was the case tonight, that they overcame, they put the stamp on. Passing has been the problem and giving up yards in defensively. You cut down that to 200 yards off the 330 that every quarterback was sitting at. Getting the pressure wasn't always consistent this year. Over the last couple of weeks, it's starting to get better. You're dialing up the pressure packages. Witherspoon looks like absolutely the real deal. So much to be encouraged by through this bye week. We're going to get healthy on the other side of this. And you never know, Johnny boy, Mr. Schneider, that tricky SOB might just have himself a trade in the back pocket he's looking to make to help even make this team stronger, better, getting us closer to those top contenders and to make ourselves indeed a contender. Sim Ranjit, thank you for the $28 donation. I really appreciate you for that, man. Double donation from you as you dropped one earlier today. Your finish is just right, just perfect with that dono drop, man. So I hope you know I thank you and I appreciate you. You, like so many on this chat, have been just absolutely amazing in your support on this show. Every show that I do is a live stream show. I always got my peeps here, always showing that kind of love and support. Thank you is never enough to say it, but I want you guys to know from the bottom of my heart that it's really appreciated. I get to do these multiple streams and multiple shows and get up tomorrow and put together the post-game wrap-up video and do a Bleacher Report stream, and I got to do that because of your guys' support, like you, Sim, like you, Megan. Like you, Spectre 7, you guys have been the ones that have been able to put this in place for me to be able to let this thing run and run full. And it's because of that we're having our greatest growth in this year. After we had our greatest growth last year, we just keep stacking it up. We just keep building here. We just keep gathering momentum and speed, and it feels like we're going downhill. And I really thank you guys for helping me get there much faster, I think, than normal YouTubers would if they're around the 13,000 mark as far as subscribers go. So, Sim, thank you so very much for all of your support tonight on the channel. Appreciate as well some of the great discussion out here on it, some great thoughts and ideas and viewpoints on where the team is at. But you are, like with the support, you guys always bring that to an addition. You'll do your dual threats. What can I say out there to my subs and my chat? That's just how you guys roll. That's just your way. And that's what I dig about you. I shouldn't have to remind you now tonight. I shouldn't have to remind you, shouldn't have to let you know about this team about ready to go do some bright, beautiful things, that the horizon line is looking real nice right now, that the clouds have parted, that the sun's shining, and that the future is looking mighty good for your Seattle Seahawks in this 2023 season. The world is in front of us. It's ours to go grab. It's ours to go take. Things are looking good. Let's see where the season goes. Let's see how this plays out. But within it all, I hope I don't have to remind you. I'm going to do it within it all. I hope you don't forget, but I'm still going to let you know. Don't you ever forget. Go Hawks.